What's going on, everybody? Another day in paradise. If you guys can hear me, hit the one. Let me know you guys can hear me. I appreciate that. So, we got a lot to talk about. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. And of course, we're going to be having this conversation frequently, depending on the situation and what we see. The title of the stream: Why do mixed women adhere to mediocre dustiness? Now, I could also include, say, some. Why do some women or mixed women, specifically what I'm talking about, adhere to mediocre dustiness? Because there's a lot of people who are generalized. And of course, my job, my goal is to not make over generalizations. That's my goal. But I did put as a disclaimer in the description box of this live stream that some feelings will get hurt, and that's okay. I think those of you who the kind of material kind of applies to, or you feel a certain type of way, you'll get over it eventually. But I'm not talking about most. I'll say many. So just want to lay that out there. Let's look at this thumbnail here. I just kind of, created this a couple hours ago. And very generic, but see the quotation mark, the kind of comment cloud, where the clearly phenotypical mixed woman here with her cell phone looking at her, she's probably looking at my channel, right, on YouTube. And she's like, oh my God, you're anti-black because you don't like my black baby daddy, right? And I laugh and I say it like that because what I often find, the mixed women who pull the race card the most on me, there's a correlation with them. 99.5% of the time, these mixed women who pull the race card on me and say that I'm anti-black, they have a black baby daddy. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. And then they see guys like me and other mixed guys and other people galvanizing, and they kind of feel like they're left out, or they feel ashamed. They feel a sense of stigma attached to them for their kind of irresponsible decisions. Like, they didn't really, it's not my fault that they were irresponsible and they didn't seek a partner to have a functional family with. That's on them. They could blame the man all they want, whatever circumstances they're involved with. But I just wanted to lay that out there. Like, there's a correlation that I see that, because most of my supporters across social media are mixed women. This is why I promote mixed women more than the men, to be honest with you. In a lot of my social media, you see with like Alicia Keys and like Zoe Kravitz and Sade, who's my favorite artist. I played some Erykah Badu right now. I like Erykah Badu a lot. I like a lot of artists, obviously very eclectic in my musical taste, but I promote mixed women all the time, and I've collaborated with quite a few. Like, my biggest supporters are mixed women. Most of my moderators here, not only on YouTube but over in my Facebook group, are mulatto women. So, like I said, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. I'm specifically speaking. There's a gentleman I see, he's in the chat right now, who this conversation kind of spearheaded by him, because I saw he posted a comment. I'm going to get into that. He posted a comment, and I love the way he worded the phrasing of his comment. And I was like, okay, I was either going to do a video about it, or why not just do a stream? That's why I made the poll earlier today. But yeah, we look at his thumbnail here, right? Right. She's like, oh, you're anti-black. You don't like my black baby daddy. But she never calls the Pookie thug. Like, I have on the picture, I have Kodak Black, right? And he's anti-mixed, right? He called Miss Mulatto a mutt because Miss Mulatto didn't want to sleep with his dusty ass, because I think they did like a collaboration or a hip-hop track or something. And he basically tried to kind of bribe sex from her, and she declined his offer. And I think Miss Mulatto got an award or something. This is like a year ago. She received some type of award, maybe from BET or whatever, some hip hop award. And he was talking shit on Miss Mulatto, right? Because that's how they are. And also, these guys, okay, these dusty Bantu types, they'll also, their choice of words they'll use, they'll call mixed women tragic mulattas. If the mulatto woman has standards and doesn't want to be with that individual. they'll try to shame that woman, right? And but what we find is when we find a mixed woman who adheres to mediocre dustiness, and she has, bastard kids by a black guy, she'll let this Pookie guy like Kodak Black slide. She'll never call him anti-mixed, or she'll never ridicule him, but she'll turn around and look at a guy like Andrew Tate and she'll disapprove of him. That's why I put the arrows. She approves of Kodak Black, but the biracial baby mama, she disapproves of Andrew Tate. Why? Because a caliber of individual like Andrew Tate's looking at you, laughing at you. It's despicable. He's like, you're not even in my league. It's laughable. I can use you for content or entertainment. This is, give me shits and giggles, but it's laughable. And, the slander and the defamation is basically futile at the end of the day, because you look at a lot of their situations, like it doesn't change the fact that you're a baby mama and you make irresponsible decisions, and you always support the degenerate criminal thugs, okay, in that community, and you want to live and seek comfort in that community. But then other mixed individuals, like a Andrew Tate guy who's mixed, right? They want to throw his ass under the bus. Now, I use Andrew Tate on the thumbnail because some of the same problematic mixed women, there's only a couple of them on YouTube who don't like your boy, who have a lot of slander and defamation that they throw at me. For whatever reason, they label me as like Andrew Tate. They say I'm like, I'm trying to be Andrew Tate. All they have is because I'm bald, right? Andrew Tate's bald and I'm bald, and we kind of look the same as far as the facial symmetry, maybe our skin tone, right? And so that's why I put Andrew Tate here, because like I've heard a couple people like literally say like, oh, you're just a wannabe Andrew Tate. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, what the fuck? No one's ever told me that before, except for these biracial baby mamas who have an issue. Like, so I laugh at that. I get a kick, but that's why I put Andrew Tate here on the thumbnail. I could put a lot of other people, but nevertheless, someone like a Kodak Black who probably has multiple baby mamas, right? They'll approve of him. Oh, he's cool. Even though he's anti-mixed, he'll hate on mixed women and throw slurs to try to get the mixed women to sleep with him. And they say nothing about that. They have no problem with that. But a biracial guy, like a mixed race guy like Andrew Tate, who's doing his business, okay, has his own business, doing his thing, they're going to try to throw him under the bus. Like, this is what we see out here, not only on the YouTube streets, but in the real world. Okay, let's get into this poll here. I got a poll I wanted to share with you guys. I did this earlier, and a lot of you guys, apparently you guys want to tune into this. You guys want to hear what I have to say. 7 hours ago, I put, should I go live tonight about why we see so many MLS female content creators who celebrate mediocre, dark-skinned black male dustiness, but at the same time slander and defame mixed and light-skinned men who dare to be exceptional. Comment below, yes or no, mulatto greatness. 27 votes. Most of you, pretty much all of you, said yes, talk about this. Only like one of you. It's probably one of the biracial baby mamas who's a stalker, who's like a decade older than me, right? And her simp enforcers are not well equipped enough to, a lot of these guys take too many hits. I don't know. These simp enforcers step up and think that they're going to make a dent or something, and they embarrass themselves. It's kind of sad. But eventually they learn. I feel like these simp enforcers, they try it, but eventually they come around. They learn. They realize, look, you might want to just stay in your lane. Don't simp too hard for some random baby mama on YouTube. Might want to just take a step back and reevaluate the situation first. Then you can, make your judgment. But yeah, a lot of you guys, 27 votes, want to hear what I have to say. Let me say this. I put MLS. Now, I don't really like that term. I don't use that term often. Not at all, to be honest with you. I don't use that term. But gentleman who's in the chat, gentleman whose comments, he made a couple comments I want to talk about. He used that term. He referenced that term. For those of you who don't know, MLS is an acronym for mixed and light skin. They put the light skinned blacks and the mixed people in the same category, which I'm not really a fan of at all, because I know that light skinned black people are still black. their race, their culture, they're black identified, so they serve blacks. Where mixed people, if you're dual heritage, specifically if you're mulatto, European, African, you're your own thing. So you're not the same as the light skinned blacks. So that people will say I'm divisive for doing that. They've been trying to say that for the last 2 years that I've been making content. I'm like, look, let's just make it easier. I get it. I have a lot of supporters, subscribers who like what I have to say. They're light skinned blacks, but I don't identify with them. I don't identify with the black community. And that's the difference because light skinned black people, they still want, not all, but I'm saying a lot of them, they still want to live underneath the rules and guidelines of the black community. They just want a better deal, but they'll still always serve and fight for blacks. And so that's my disagreement with them, is we're not the same. Okay. I'm mulatto, and I get it. You're light skinned black, so you're mixed or whatever, you're MGM. I don't know, whatever. That's cool. That's fine. But I'm mulatto. We're different. Okay. And that's why, yeah, MLS is what a lot of people put, but I specifically don't do the whole light skin thing over here. I do mulatto. And put DSBM, like I mentioned, that's a acronym for dark skinned black male. For those of you who don't know, 6 people liked it. Got some comments. Let's see what the comments put. I already have the link pinned if you guys want to hop up on the panel. I put, by the way, this will be an open forum, so I encourage the audience to post comments and, of course, jump on the panel if you like. Chief Inspector puts here, maybe such MLS mixed light-skinned women are acting out of compulsion. I notice some black people consider mixed light skin dating each other as quote-unquote colorism in itself, and clear MGMs, multi-generational mixed, which are like mulattoes who kind of procreate with each other, basically, such as the late Colin Powell, as products of colorism. And they talk about that with Creoles. Remember, the dark-skinned black Bantus, they try to use that colorism argument as a shaming, gaslighting tactic to prevent mixed people from procreating with each other. Remember, what's his name? The Phil Advice Show. I did a live stream on this channel, has a lot of views, probably my most viewed live stream thus far. And I did a video where I talked about how this dark-skinned black Bantu, Phil Advice Show, who has millions of subscribers and viewers, and he talked about Creole people, and he was trying to shame the Creole people, spreading conspiracies, talking about, oh, those Creoles procreate with each other because they want to preserve their skin color. They want to keep that good light skin. He's a dark skinned guy, and he's married to a super light skinned, pale, like Mexican woman. He has kids with her. So the hypocrisy of the pro-wax is out of this world. But they'll always use that colorism argument to prevent you guys from dealing with each other and dating each other. And only the black identified amongst us fall for that crap and adhere to their sensibilities. Like, oh, I don't want to make them seem I'm anti-black and colorist, so I'll get the darkest, blackest thing and erase my heritage. Like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. But yeah, I did that video with Phil Advice Show. I couldn't believe it. Like, this guy has the nerve to talk about how I said, look, the Creoles were procreating with Creoles because they wanted community. They wanted safety, security. They've existed for centuries. And they've done very well. But today, when I look at a lot of Creole kind of people, they're basically kind of throwing in the towel, and they're serving the Bantus, and they're erasing themselves, sadly. They're having basically black offspring. And that's on them. And those are going to be the same ones who cry about me. You're anti-black. My black baby daddy doesn't approve. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, that's the MGM. Yeah, right. Colin Powell, the products of colorism. Someone put a comment here. Light skin history said, I've always thought this, but it still needs to be called out. You call it out, they're going to call you anti-black, right? Which should be an honor at this point. All who watch this channel must write their senators and their state to give their state the option for mixed race peoples. It worked in Georgia and other states where this was done. Even a signed petition to send them both through Democrat and conservative senators, and the Libertarian wouldn't hurt either. Celtic Mulatto bringing in his wisdom and his kind of political expertise on the matter, seeing the bigger picture. Because we're here talking about like just some dating and mating fuckery. Like, my whole thing is, yeah, I'll laugh at the baby mamas if they're stupid. Because the thing is, look, I have no issue with any of these individuals, but these, like I said, there's a correlation because these same individuals will literally say that I'm anti-black, and a lot of these individuals, they're from divestiture spaces. It's like, how are you going to sit there and call somebody anti-black or racist when we literally have these individuals on tape on YouTube being a anti-black racist in a divestiture space using divestiture language? Like, it's crazy. The analogy of throwing stones, right, in a glass house. You got biracial baby mamas who swear up and down on their channel, the mulatto vanguard's racist and anti-black. And then it's like, okay, do you want me to pull the audio of you being an anti-black racist? Because we got that shit. Internet's forever. You can say what you want about me. You know me. I don't give a fuck. But you're so uppity to open your mouth about me, like you're gonna, because they're trying to get brownie points with Blackistan. They think they're gonna throw a biracial man under the bus so that black men will give them the approval. Because what we see is there is kind of a pathway to blackness for a lot of biracial women. They have to have, black men's, illegitimate kids, sadly, in a lot of cases. And not only that, they have to prove their loyalty to the black race by tarnishing the sexual marketplace value of biracial men, throwing us under the bus. We got one person that wants to hop up here. What's up? You're live. You're on the stream. We got Jason in the house.
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. I wanted just to talk about something based on like the mulatto racial category, right? Um, so I've been doing a lot of research, right? And what I've discovered is like there's a lot of racial categorization, because there's many wars. They've been, like, I think you heard of, like you mentioned in the video, one of your videos, Rwandan genocide, right? With
Yeah.
the Tutsi, Hutu. Yeah. you know, there was like a lot of racial tensions because obviously Europeans came, created, classifications because they were trying to preserve, their phenotype. And well, the Tutsi basically, they obviously got genocided. They were actually the ruling class originally, but then Europeans came in and kind of brought. So there is now there's still it's still out there, but it's outdated. So it's not really used, but it's still there. Like you can search up. It's called Ethiopid phenotype. So if you search up on Google, you'd see Ethiopid, right? And then you also have these other like clans, or I don't know, like ethnicities, right? So there's Fulani, there's Berber, there's Tuareg, and then there's Moor, right? Moorish. And what I've realized is if you look at Moorish and you look at Sui or Suru, I don't know, they literally look like the average biracial. And what I've actually realized is it's said, right, that it's sometimes classed with Ethiopid, or it's put in the category of Ethiopid. And Ethiopid phenotype is like those Somalian phenotypes, right? So you can see there's like a lot of tension, and there is really, it's really what I've realized is everything with the black community, how they kind of like put us in like this subordinate position, effeminize our image. It's just another kind of way that they've been doing it throughout history, kind of like warring against. And I don't know why, but many of the light skinned biracial men have not really stood out. They've
Yeah.
not really,
They're
they've not
punks. They're punks.
exactly.
Let's
You
be
know,
let's
I
be
even go on.
I was gonna say, let's be real. Let's be real. We see these biracials, these like, and that's why they're ganging up on Drake, because they feel like, oh, none of these mulattoes or biracials gonna take his side. And like they're ganging up on Drake because they know a lot of these mulattoes and biracials, they're straight up fucking punks. Like, and there's a nuance here because I know environment, you're in the UK, I'm in America. So There's some similarities for sure, but there are some differences. And no, a lot of these biracials out here are fucking punks. Like they don't understand. It hasn't clicked with them yet that they have to develop their own shit. They cannot continue to be underneath blacks and serve them in their agenda, because we know the whole goal of blacks Americans is they want the mulatto women, okay, and they want to disregard the mulatto men. And my question is to the men, why do you accept that? Like, why do you find that to be plausible and acceptable? And you have it to where some of these guys, they feel like they have to go to a whole nother country to get a wife, to get a woman. Like
Yeah,
it's like, but there's plenty of women in this country. Like, you can go wherever you want to get a wife. That's cool. I'm not tripping, but it's like, why do they want to run away? They don't want to confront the elephant in the room that they identify with Black American people. That's the issue. They have to create their own identity and unify around that. So I see some comments here. Like, I wanted to mention this because I posted a short today about Drake, and I got a lot of Kendrick bots and haters, right, on this short. I got like 8K views, but I got like 100 or like 68 comments. I had to block and ban a bunch of people because they're spreading their allegations and shit, and I don't want that energy here. But I pinned the comment about light skin unity. But like all this Drake hate, these people talking about Drake, see, this is all part and parcel with them trying to destroy the sexual marketplace value of biracial men, of mixed men, destroy our image, tarnish our reputation. That's all this is. Because remember, Kendrick has a mixed race wife. They're all cool with that. But they're not cool with the mixed race man, Drake, who dares to be great and exceptional. And they're all teaming up. You got like a lot of bots. You got people in bot accounts like, oh, Drake is they're throwing allegations against Drake, or he's scummy, he's not good. But they defend Kendrick. And I'm sitting here like, where the hell are the biracial men that actually have some stones that are going to defend this man, Drake, and other mulatto men who are being slandered out here? I don't see it that often. Like I said, most of these mulattoes I see, they're straight fucking marks. They're going to serve the Bantu and get punked out here. That's the position they want. Hey, there's other channels that they can go and feel comfortable at. But over here, like, no, I won't tolerate it. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I mean, everything you said is like on right on point. Like is direct. Like I'll give you an example. Right, I'm a darker skin, uh, MGM type. Right, so I'll give you an example. You know, Pharrell Williams. Right, that's kind of like how I look like. Someone a bit like that, Jaden Smith type. I at a church, right, approached a woman, pretty much very similar MGM, curly hair, whatever, right? And this is this man, right? And he was like with in the church. This guy was like preventing it, right? I said, oh, I wanted to go somewhere with whatever, and he's like, no, no, no. Um, it's pretty much he was a whole old man, and this man, he was with a woman that looked just like him, right? So it's funny. It's like how they can. It's like very acceptable for them to procreate with their own, procreate with mixed MGM women, light skinned biracial women, right? But they can completely control what mixed race men can do, like their own women having access to their own women. They prevent that. I see this all the time. In fact, I've seen this like, let's say like outside, right? I've seen a guy get cucked by a dark skinned guy, a light skinned guy, right? Who's there getting cucked by a dark skinned Bantu. And he didn't do anything. But it was funny when a light skinned guy, right, is trying to get another light skinned guy's girl. They're ready to fight each other. It's crazy. It's like these guys are. I don't know if they're afraid. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why they don't want to unify. I don't know why they're not. If you want to call it that this sexually competitive, I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know if they've been cucked or conditioned by their parents. I don't know if it's the environment. They've been kind of like pandered or brainwashed to kind of feel like they have things easy, like, oh, you know, you're pretty, you're beautiful. Because at the end of the day, you know, I check in the news. There's a lot of light skinned guys still get worse sentenced than dark skinned men or the same sentences, right? But they kind of condition it. saying that you guys are, or you like, you got it good, you got it better.
I
You're
just
getting
want to
cut. Go on.
I just want to cut in real quick and say, are you referencing those longer sentences in the UK news you're reading or in American news? I'm just curious.
Oh, I could reference. They're both. It's both sides.
Okay.
So, could you give me one example of like what you like reference?
Well, yeah, no, yeah, because you referenced that you've noticed there's like a trend where lighter skinned males are getting a longer sentence from darker skinned males, and you're stating because, oh,
Oh,
it's perceived that lighter skinned males are more privileged than darker skinned males. So they kind of want to even the playing field. I was just curious if that was in reference to the UK judicial system or the United States, or possibly it's both crossover.
it's definitely both because whether you like or not, US definitely like influences the UK, right? But I think from the video I was seeing, I don't know if you could see if you've seen it before. It was like a light skinned biracial man, right? And he was kind of like doing a stare face, like a scary stare face at the judge when he got like a long sentence, right? So like that's one example. Then you got another one. I saw him like I don't know. He got arrested. He was like arresting a guy. I mean, like he was attacking a guy with a gun. It's, he got even a higher sentence. It's like I don't know why these biracial guys they're completely subservient to blacks. It's like they don't do anything. But what I've seen is they're ready to fight each other, like over women, over anything, like to defend their loyalty to blackness. I don't know what it is like in their brain, right? That is kind of like operating like that. And also like what I've also seen, like yeah, okay, you have darker skin mixed guys, right? They have the same. It's the same thing they got going on. It's only the ones that are culturally. What I've seen also is those that are culturally like intact. Those ones are more likely to be with their own. Like let's say it's a light skinned guy that's Caribbean or something like that. Yeah, all right, sure. But the ones that are biracial, or MGM, where he has like one biracial parent, one black parent, or something like that. They all. I don't know what's wrong with them. Like just completely like they just want to be subservient. They
Well,
don't
look.
have any mind. Go on.
Well, I was gonna say just quickly, the guy in the UK, his name is I think Akala. You've heard of him? He's like a mulatto activist, but he's super pro-black. Like he's highly visible in the media. I've seen a bunch of videos with this guy. He's a mulatto guy. I think his name's Akala, and like, but he's super pro-black, like fighting for the black plight. And there's a bunch of him, trust me, here in America as well. But I'm sitting there looking at this like, and he calls it mulatto nationalism. And I'm like, bro, we barely even have like a fortified group. Most of these mulattoes are black identified. So it's like, how the hell is he calling it nationalism? I just want to let other mulattoes know they have a safe haven, a community that serves them. They don't have to be a subordinate serving. They can develop their own self-interest. Like everybody gets to have that, except they look at us and they want us to be underneath another group. And or is the owl shows on the panel, and I've referenced there's a couple biracial women, those same biracial women who say that I'm anti-black or they don't like me. These are the same biracial women who have publicly said they view themselves as a subgroup underneath black people. Someone's got their mic on, so I'm going to repeat that. The same biracial women who say that I'm anti-black, these are the same women. There's only a couple of them. They've publicly said that they look at themselves as being a subgroup underneath black people. So those are people, individuals who want to fit into blackness. The same ones who are going to pull the race card and say, you're a racist, right? And they got black baby daddies. They're going to pull that race card with biracial men. They're never going to challenge white men because they know their place, right? And a lot of these women, they got white mamas. They're never going to challenge, Karen or white women. They're cowards, but they got all this smoke for biracial men. And we ask ourselves, why is that? Why is this? Because I promote and adhere. Most of my supporters are mulatto women. My moderators are mulatto women. So I promote mulatto women, but I feel like the pathway to blackness for a lot of mixed women is to basically throw mixed men under the bus to prove to darker skinned men that they're loyal to them. And not that many people call it out and call a spade a spade. You look at the screen here, the comment. This is from the Kendrick, or the Drake and Kendrick, Drake versus Kendrick short that I uploaded today. There's a lot of engagement. And this is like a Latina woman here who's talking about she likes Kendrick. She's on Team Kendrick. I know she's Latina because her last name's Beltran, which is clearly a Mexican kind of last name. And I was like, and I could tell, hey, you're probably from the Southwest. You're from the West Coast. I put here, you're clearly biased for the West Coast rapper, and Drake has way more iconic songs than Lil Kenny Kendrick. I told her, look, because she's like, why is Drake better than Kendrick? I was like, look, Drake has more iconic songs. His catalog is a lot larger, better hit songs. She puts, I still prefer Kendrick because he's a better lyricist. You can say what you want to say, but I'm going to stick with my opinion. So you got this Latina caping for Kendrick, which is fine. The thing is, I was going to even add to it, but whatever, like, her own like male counterparts, Latino males, how are they going to feel? Because she'll sit there and support a black guy over even Mexican guys. A lot of them do that, and they have Blaxican kids, like the Phil Advice show. His Mexican wife, they got Blaxican kids, and it's like they're creating problems for themselves with these other communities. Not only with Latinos or whites historically, but also with Asians, other groups. And I'm sitting there as a mulatto, like, I'm not going to be caught in the middle of that shit. And I'm not going to cape and fight for these people and be a subordinate to them, trying to get acceptance, fighting for them. That's on them. That's their own battles. Okay. So this individual is not even displaying loyalty, right, to her group. She's going to cape for Kendrick because she's from the West Coast. Just because I'm from the West Coast, I knew she's from the West Coast. This is just a random account, but Monica Beltran, I don't care who the hell this individual is. I can just tell by the name. You're a Latina woman from the West Coast, Southwest of the United States, whatever. But you're caping for little Kenny. Says West Coast doesn't mean I'm biased. Yes, it does. Okay, I know how a lot of you people operate out there. They want to act just like the blacks and get all territorial with their geography. The Northerners versus the Southerners and all this crap, just like blacks with the West East Coast crap. And it says here, Kendrick also has iconic songs too. And if I were you, I wouldn't complain because you a History Channel. It's like, whatever, man. You guys have anything to add to that or what? I'm gonna move on to something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was that if we're talking strictly the Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing, it's what I had mentioned before, and that is, again, it demonstrates, I call it the biracial wake-up call, right? That's the extreme version. Somebody comes out with a song that says, not like us, right? So I don't know. People's experiences and where they're from. That's one of the things that I think people have to understand about mixed race people, biracial people, and of course mulatto people, obviously, is community, where you're from, your environment is a major factor in how you develop as a person. And it's a major factor in, I have found, in the years that I've been on mixed race groups online and the relatively brief time I was on YouTube, it demonstrates whether, I would argue, it demonstrates whether people choose to live as mixed race people openly or choose to try to live as monoracial people. So it's family and community from what I've seen. And the community to me is a bigger factor in my view, from what I see. Some people might argue the other way around, but those are factors. So if people come from communities, like if you're a biracial person who comes from a community and what you know is, I guess, African-American people, because you come from that community, then it's not unusual for people to want to ingratiate themselves and want to fit in because that's the environment that they know. And since they come from that environment, they move on to other environments like that. And so, and I hear these people on like TV shows and or on YouTube or something like that, and they're complaining about how they're treated. What they don't understand is that they may see themselves as monoracial and as African American, but that doesn't guarantee that African Americans see them as monoracial
There's a couple
or the
examples of
same.
that. There's a couple examples of that, Al, and that's with Amanda Seals, who's mixed, and also Amber Rose, who's mixed. Both of them have a Cape Verdean kind of background. They're both women.
Mhm.
I think Generation X, and they both have been mostly kind of Black identified in the Black culture and stuff like that. And they're receiving a lot of pushback now today from Black people. And that's because of that, where
Mhm.
like they see themselves as being kind of Black or whatever, but Black people don't necessarily see them as being Black. Look at the comment here on the screen
Yeah, I wanted
from
to say
JJ.
something about that.
Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, about the comment. Basically, you see how she's saying mixed men should go for foreign mixed women overseas. The thing is though, the mixed women overseas, like women in Brazil, right, or Mexico or Puerto Rico, those men there, just kind of like how there's a tribes in the Sahel in North Africa, right, that are Berber, very similar to mixed people, same features, culture wise very different because mixed people, they're mixed background, right? But phenotypically very similar. These people, they're very protective over their women, kind of like how Somalis are very protective. So in general, actually, what I've realized is, I've checked the channel. I don't really want to say because I mean actually I don't really care. Guy's very very honest. He was talking about like how they are like mestizos, like Afro mestizos, like with minimal Indian admixture, right? And how they see blacks as themselves. And they're obviously not happy with that, right? If you check the videos, they are very on they don't like mixed guys. They actually prefer blacks over mixed guys. And I'm talking about the men, not even the women, because of the fact how mixed men haven't even like revolted or separated themselves, and how we saw like how we kind of unified. So that whole idea of like mixed men going to foreign mixed women, that is something that kind of, it's not really gonna be very good actually, because I feel like it's gonna be like how kind of like the angry biracial guy made a video talking about how he went in Saudi Arabia, he was treated like worse than black, and he even saw dark skinned like Somalian men watching him get like beat by Arabs and all that because he's biracial. Because these Brazilians, they really, they obviously like male national, like they focus on men, right? They're their hierarchy. So because we didn't put ourselves first, because we subordinated ourselves, I know, right? Even there's this other guy in TikTok. We know like they're not really our friends. They really hate. They don't really. They actually despise us a lot. Like making videos as well. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. You can go ahead, Milo.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I look at that whole going to a foreign country for a mulatto woman, like the gentleman puts here. Let me read it. JJ puts, I think mixed men should go for foreign mixed women overseas. Most of the biracial black women in the West adhere to Blackistan culture, which is why they gravitate towards low value men. The thing is, environment is the main thing. The biracial women who are more lower income, who grew up in like a trailer park or a ghetto, lower income, lower socioeconomic status, they're going to try to fit in to Blackistan. There is a class distinction because the mixed women that I've dealt with, they're not from that lower income. They're the same class as me. They're middle class or even the higher class ones. I mean, those ones, they're basically kind of exclusively, you know, white in a lot of cases, unless you're like an Aisha Curry individual or what's her name, the celebrity status, like the woman Alicia Keys or something like that. But the thing is, when I look at the going traveling overseas for mixed women, that's like a plan C or D option. Like for me, plan A, try to make things work here. Plan B, have a backup plan if that plan doesn't work, that you can still try to use another strategy. Okay, then plan C is like an exit strategy. Maybe go overseas. That's not my first strategy, is to just run away and go. Like, to me, that's just extra. Like, I was in the UK last year and I've met a couple mixed women. Now, it's a Western nation, so it's very similar, as you said, with culture and sociology and stuff. There's a lot of overlap, but I plan on going to some other countries in the next several months, to some Spanish speaking countries where there's a lot of mulattoes. I'll get into that in the future. And so I'm going to experiment over there to see what these nations are like. But to me, that's like a plan C or D. That's not my first course of action, to go deal with women in a foreign country and they speak Spanish or Portuguese. Like, I rather try to work it out with women that are in this country, right? Same culture and language. Like, it just seems more plausible. But look at what For Light. I wanted to add this, jump into the next kind of topic. It's all related, guys. And For Light put here, light skin, mulatto, black girls keep accepting being treated like non-human animals vomit to dark-skinned black men. And For Light himself is like a darker brown skinned Jamaican man. So he's a black man. Okay. And but a lot of his talking points and philosophies and rhetoric, it's kind of in line with a lot of what mixed men and lighter skinned men are seeing out here. He puts here, just a second, just a second, Al. He puts here, this girl could have got with the mulatto brother, but she seeked the cost of wanting to be accepted by the community. Now, I had a comment that I put, I'm going to get into it, and people didn't like what I had to say about that. But go ahead, Al.
Well, what I was going to say is, this is the first that I've heard of this passport bro thing for biracial. I've never heard that. I haven't come across this for mixed race guys or biracial guys.
You got.
I've never heard anybody. Yeah, I've never heard this.
It's desperate. They're desperate. Yeah.
You know, and again, I'm still on mixed race groups on social media. I don't think I've ever seen a mixed race guy say, "I'm going to go to another country to find mixed race women." I've never heard that over the years. So here's what I will say about that. I don't get the whole passport bro thing. I don't understand it. So obviously, I think it's strange and odd, and it's not it's not a logical thing to do. The only places that I think you could go to do that with any coherence would be Cape Verde, which has a substantial mixed race. I should put a disclaimer that I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. I'm not telling you this is what you should do. In fact, it's the opposite. So just so I'm letting people know, I find the passport bro thing odd, personally. But if people were to do this, the only places that I can think of are Cape Verde, which has a substantial mixed race population, South Africa, substantial mixed race population. Let me see. Brazil, substantial mixed race population. There are also a couple of other places that have that, which escape me at the present.
Yeah, I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name any names, but there's a particular guy. I know the other gentleman on the chat or on the panel right now. He knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to even mention his name, but there's a guy who's basically been making a ton of videos talking about, oh, if I don't like mixed women in America or light-skinned women, if I want a woman, I'm going to go overseas to get a mixed woman. Like, my whole thing is, look, that's like plan D or E. Like, try to make things work out here, have some confidence, build yourself up, okay, develop some social media, network, talk to people. But my whole thing is, look, if you're going to, because a lot of mixed women, their pathway, I'm not saying all, I said a lot, many, not all, a lot of mixed women, their pathway to blackness in this country, in the African-American culture, is to shit on and slander and defame mixed men. We got to call a spade a spade. So like I said, this comment or this post I saw from For Light, I put a comment here, and you guys can see the comment here. This is 2 weeks ago, right? I put they want acceptance from the community, and they end up suffering the consequences that comes with that. And I put pity. I got 4 likes. But the thing is, there is a biracial baby mama, the same one who went on this whole, slander campaign calling me anti-black racist, right? And she's the same one who's calling black men nignogs because she's from the black divester sector. They kicked her out because she has a white mom. Divestors don't like biracials with white moms. That's a whole nother story. But the same individual, this biracial baby mama, she was going around saying that I'm anti-black and all this stuff because she has a majority black male audience. And I know she saw this comment. I'm not going to name her name. She's listening. Okay. And she saw this comment and she did a community post on her channel talking about, you got these weirdos, these mixed men in these spaces talking about Casey deserved or what, all this. Like, do you see anything here about me saying deserved? I never said anything about anyone deserves abuse or there's no deserve. I never said nothing. I was like, look, this Cassie, apologize the pronunciation, the woman who's with Diddy. I'm like, I'm not going to stick my neck out there for this woman that I don't even know. Is she just like a lot of these women who are mixed, who talk shit about mixed men? And they get with a darker skinned man and they talk shit about us because we know that's very common. You can go to these MLS channels by these biracial baby mama females and they talk all this shit about mixed men. Even me, even the Al show, they've talked about him. They're trying to clown us for being light skinned. The same individual called me Casper and melanin deficient. So they adhere to all these racist anti-biracial stereotypes in the black community, but they're still sitting out here crying, talking about protection. Like, and I just put here, like, basically they want acceptance from the community. So they get with the darker skinned black guy. And then they end up suffering consequences. A lot of these darker skinned black guys, I'm sorry, guys, I'm generalizing a tad bit, but I'm saying a lot of them, they're abusive to women. Okay. It happens, and then they suffer the consequences is what I put. And that, that comes with it. And I put pity. Like, I don't care. It's pitiful. Like, that's not my problem. I remember even on TikTok, there's a biracial woman, a lady who I'm pretty close with. She supports me. I support her, our content. And she direct messaged me telling me to talk about the whole Cassie, whatever situation. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that because I don't know this woman, the whole details. Like, does she have a history of slandering mixed men? Because that's the thing with you guys. Got to realize you're a mulatto guy. Listen to me. You got to take a step back and analyze the situation. Don't stick your neck out here and fight for individuals who tell you, oh, you got to protect me or fight for me. Do they have a history of slandering mulatto men? Because we know there's individuals out here, their pathway to blackness, to fit into the black community, is to throw mixed men under the bus, throw light-skinned men under the bus. It's very common amongst them in their community. So we have to sit back and analyze. We're not supposed to just jump in there and defend people who talk shit about us, right? I have too much pride. So I put this comment here. And what I'm saying, Al, is there's another content creator who you're aware of, she was basically trying to spin it, is what they do. They always try to spin things. She's trying to say that, like, I'm like demonizing this Cassie woman because she's with Diddy, or I'm basically saying, look, I'm not going to say anything about for the woman. I don't know the woman, Cassie. I saw the video. It was pretty bad. P. Diddy was like kicking the woman. She's on the floor. My whole thing was, look, I'm not going to even comment or come to defense of this random individual because who knows? Maybe she was on the internet or wherever she was talking shit about mulatto men. And then this thing is, as mulatto men, how can you have self-esteem and principle going out here, putting your neck out here, defending an individual who's publicly slandered your name, talk shit about you, saying you're light skinned? Because the same individual, Al, that you're aware of, they've publicly said that I'm Casper because I'm light skinned. They're saying I'm melanin deficient. And this same individual doesn't even look like a biracial. She looks like a Mexican woman who ate too many tortas. It's like she doesn't even look like mixed or biracial. So I'm like, but see, it's okay for them to hate light-skinned men in Blackistan, but the light-skinned women, they get preference if they throw biracial men under the bus. Go ahead, Al.
So since you brought up, you didn't mention who, and I won't mention who.
We
But
don't need to
since you
mention.
brought
Yeah,
up,
we don't need to mention their names. Don't give them any
right,
clout. But yeah, go ahead.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Since you didn't mention, and I'm not going to mention, I will slightly address that. So in my case, it was only a couple. And in my case, what they did, it wasn't so much that they said something about me or they were critical about me for whatever reason. It wasn't so much that, it wasn't that, is that they actually allowed monoracial people to come on their platform while I was on the platform out of the blue. Well, it seemed out of the blue. That's all I'll say. And try to lie and try to attack me.
And the thing is,
They
Al.
brought they brought a couple of these people who were monoracial.
Yes.
And I don't recall much of it because I don't recall much of. I'm not on YouTube anymore. I have
Right.
an official channel, but I'm
The
not
thing.
really on YouTube anymore.
The
So,
thing about it, Al. The thing
right.
about it is, those individuals you're referencing, they will
Mhm.
only pull that stunt with biracial men. They'll never do that. They'll argue and fight
Right.
against black women. They'll argue and fight
Well,
against black men. But the
right.
thing is, they will throw biracial men under the bus to serve
Mhm.
black people, but they wouldn't do that to a biracial woman. They will defend a biracial woman, right? So they only
Well,
have
they
that
have to
type of
have an
treatment.
audience base. You
Yeah,
got to keep in mind, this is YouTube. They have to have a base. They can't attack everybody. So again, here's the important part because I remember hearing what the other gentleman on this panel was saying about biracial man. So what happened was after they tried for whatever reason do this, I still don't know why they did it, but who knows? When I stated the facts that they brought these people, a couple people on to attack me, and I I clearly noted, hey, they did this on a biracial channel. The reason I note this is that's something in even in biracial spaces that's really a no-no. You don't allow people from outside the community and people, especially monoracial people, to behave. And this is a problem with these two. It was a problem with these two because they would allow even on their own platforms, they would allow monoracial people to come up and say things that were blatantly one dropping and blatantly attacked biracial people. They allowed this on their own channels.
they attack biracial women now too, like the Exoticals United or Future is Golden, like the mixed women or Magic Mulatto. So they attack the other mixed women too. It's not just the men. I'm a man. I'm just my own using my channel as a voice testimony. Like, look, they've been attacking me for 2 years, trying to say that I'm an anti-black racist and I'm a bad guy. But these same individuals, they attack other mixed women too. It's that bad. Look at this comment here. The guy says,
Mhm.
MLS women can have any race and status of men they want, yet they are the only females on this planet at the top that chooses the bottom. It's an interesting kind of analogy when you look at it because it's like we look at a Zendaya. Now she chooses the top. Zendaya gets Tom Holland, right?
Yeah.
A successful British actor. And then you have Zoe Kravitz, who gets like top tier men, and Alicia Keys. So we have a lot of mulatto women or mixed women who get like top tier men. But a lot of these women, sometimes I look at them even on Instagram. I'll just use Instagram as a sample, not even YouTube. Some of these women, I've had to unfollow them because at first I see their name, their title, it's like a biracial kind of princess, or they have like biracial in their title, whatever, attractive women. But then upon further review, I'm like, oh, wait a second, she's a baby mama. Oh, wait a second, she has a ghetto, dusty black baby daddy. And I'm sitting here like, why did a woman of this caliber, very attractive woman, choose the lowest caliber individuals to procreate with? I'm like, it just diminishes her marketplace value to where I don't even want to associate with her. I just unfollow her. Like, I'm good. There's too many women out here in this world. Go ahead, Jason. Or yeah, go ahead.
Can I touch on like so what I like your like reference where you talk about Zendaya, like Alicia Keys and all that like status, right? I want to touch on this. So I just thought of something. right? And I think this is would be very good for all biracial men to use, right? So these are this is like the thing, right? This goes like this: status, claim, claim woman, and identity. So first is status, right? So it's like you would just be with women. You chase you get women with women that are of the same status as you. All right. So you be honest with, with yourself and the position you're in. You are a guy. Maybe you're rich, or just doing fine, or broke or poor or whatever. You get with a woman of that same caliber as you, right? As that same status as you, and you only get with those women, right? That's one. Then you have claim, right? So you go ahead and you pretty much claim all your collective ideas that you as a biracial or MGM have put out in the community, right? Like having a YouTube forum or like whatever, and just kind of like claiming all the stuff you've done, right? Because obviously you can see we're not welcome, we're not represented. We claim we take all the stuff out and just calling it out, kind of like saying, oh, this guy, for example, oh, this rapper, he is a biracial or he's an MGM. He created this, and this guy's copying. This dark skinned Bantu man is copying this guy's artwork, is this piece. And then you have claim woman, right? And when I mean claim woman, you cannot literally claim woman, right? But you can literally claim the attributes that are attached to you to her, right? So for example, a woman, right? She is a MGM woman or biracial woman, and this biracial woman, she is pretty much kind of like referencing something that biracial men say, or like the idea or the quotes, or kind of like having a style or something like that, right? About her, or attributes, or kind of like resembling a guy, right? You claim her, right? You pretty much you just say, oh, this woman is like trying to copy this guy, this, and then finally you have identity. Most biracial men, they go ahead and identify as light skin. Look at where that has brought them to. In fact, yeah, okay, you're light skinned, but clearly we're still kind of like, well, not me, because I'm not actually a pale light skin. I'm like more of a light brown to dark brown, uh, MGM type, right? But d- I don't see um biracial light skinned guys being called um biracial, or mulatto. I see them being called light skinned black. I see them being attached to that blackness, right?
Right.
And what I've also realized is, you actually look at Europeans when they refer to certain groups of people, like for example, Somalians in schools or something, they actually don't really see them as black, like Europeans. I'm not talking about like just in like those guys that mix with the Europe in general. In fact, you actually go online, you see a lot of European guys, right? Because obviously the decline population of some apparently Europeans and like all those conspiracy theories, the Falagi planet, I don't know, whatever, right? They date a lot of these darker skinned biracial women, right? Those Somalian type, and obviously they know more. Like they're the one that create this, racial system. So I mean, I don't need to say too much. They're the ones that they call them Ethiopians, or I don't know, Ethiopian or Tuareg or something like that. Those women, they don't even call them black, right? They say they're dark skinned Caucasians, right?
Ah,
So
I've heard of that.
you
Black
can see,
Caucasians. I've heard of that. Yeah. Yep.
yeah. That's what they call them. I don't really subscribe to that, because why? I feel like it doesn't focus on them procreating with themselves. It kind of like just allows them to be subgroup of the Caucasian race, but the men are not putting themselves first and focus on racial preservation. Yeah, when because you call yourself light skinned, right? You can see where that gets you. You get identified with black people, black men still attach themselves to the woman, and they end up making all these people that identify as black. They don't really look black, and you just lose influence. There's no point in even identifying as light skin in general, because that no race really like identifies with the complexion. I feel like more of an ethnicity, or more of like a kind of like a saying, like for example, mulatto. That's much better than saying light skin in general. If they were saying mulatto, that would have there would have been no attachment to blackness, right? It would be even easier for that for mulatto then to finally put themselves as an ethnic group rather than saying light skin black, because black people have already attached themselves to that light skin. You know, they're already buying bleach. You know, they're already
Yep.
using cake soap or some other whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
Even
like go ahead.
I was gonna say, even with the whole analogy, like where they talk about like red bone, or yeah, like you said with the light skin, they're even saying basically where it's like, oh, you're light skin, oh, you're just a black person, you're just a lighter skin black. I'm like, well, hold up, black people don't have a white parent, so it's like, let's cut the crap, but they'll continuously try. We got another gentleman on the panel, Four Light. Before Four Light chimes in, I wanted to read this comment because this is what really kicked off this whole discussion for me. Why I wanted to talk about this. The gentleman's in the chat, KMC and or KMCC, and I saw this was like 12 days ago, right? So basically 2 weeks ago, I saw he put this comment underneath the short that I put with Drake. And let's read this comment. He says, "Stay on it, brother, because 95% of these MLS, meaning mixed light skin channels, especially the ones female owned, do nothing but justify Dusty's mediocreness." And I just cracked up laughing. I saw this, that mediocreness of the Dusties. So I named this stream, "Why Do Mixed Women Adhere to Mediocre Dustiness?" Because he worded it perfectly. This is literally what we see. Like when we analyze, like my biggest haters and detractors, like even the Owl Show knows, it's only a couple. There's only like 2 or 3 biracial women who don't like me that are public about it, because most of my supporters and my moderators, etc., are biracial women, right? Who like the content, they identify and vibe with it. But there's a few biracial women who have been on YouTube longer than me, by the way, and are struggling way more than me. And it's like they're almost competing with me for biracial women, because these biracial baby mamas, they're basically bisexuals. So they look at me as competition, as a competitor male. And they have mostly a Black Manosphere channel. And I'm looking at it like they justify the Dusty mediocre. Like they pedestalize the Dusty Black Manosphere guys on their channel, but they push out and they slander and defame biracial men on their channels. And even the Owl Show knows, because they did it to him. They did it to another biracial guy, the Ant Report. They brought the Ant Report on their channel, on their panel, and they basically set him up. They brought in a ghetto black guy up on the panel to talk crap about the Ant Report. That's what they do. They bring black
That
people on
sounds
their
a little
channel.
like that sounds a little similar, not entirely, but a little similar to what was done. But that actually sounds like a pure setup. In my case, I don't know whether it was. All I know is they allowed these people because I just jumped on their panel. So it wasn't like they knew I was going to be there. So I just came on there. But what you're describing sounds like that. What I wanted to know, I wanted to state something about what that the other guy who was on this panel noted about biracial guys. Like he was saying biracial guys tend to be, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but submissive, or I don't know what the term was, but
Subordinate. Yeah, subordinates.
Subordinate. Okay. Now, in my experience, I've only dealt with, I guess we could say mulatto, but black, white, biracial guys. I've only dealt with them online, not offline as much. So outside of the internet and of YouTube, I don't know how biracial guys correspond with African Americans because I haven't seen that directly. I can only tell you my experience as an individual and also my dealing with it, biracial guys. In terms of my own experience, what I've noticed online was that here's just what I noticed. When I make it clear that I'm biracial, when I've had just a couple, not a lot, because there are some black guys that have no problem if you're biracial. It's not an issue for them because they have a lot of pride. They know who they are and they don't need anyone else in their community. And those are the ones that usually are pretty stable and rational people. They're easy to deal with. But you have some people that, of course, are used to the one drop rule. And what I noticed is the one drop rule is very powerful in those communities. I think a lot of people have been conditioned and socialized by that. And that's the reason that they see biracial people as African American or whatever. But in my stating that I was biracial, I've dealt with a couple guys who are like, yeah, but trying to not, it wasn't a debate, but they were trying to debate me. They were trying to argue with me over the fact that biracial doesn't exist, no such thing as a mixed race person, that they're fundamentally at black, or that they're all of this. And when they can't shake me, when they can't break me, when they can't try to, think they can debate me or argue with me, when I keep saying to them, this is the history, 1924 Racial Integrity Act, you have the Supreme Court decision, Plessy v. Ferguson, you have the census, which said mulatto. When you keep hitting those facts at them, at a couple of these guys, at least in my experience, they just don't, they're not used to dealing with a biracial guy. So to be brutally honest, I don't know if what the guy on the panel says is absolutely true, because I haven't seen it in the real world, or the world outside the internet. I want to say real world, the world outside the internet. It may be true. I don't know. But I would say that what it seems to me is that there are some African American men who are not used to dealing with biracial guys who are firmly biracial and don't identify as anything other, and stick to that.
Exactly. And this, I want to kind of cut in because I want Forlight to speak, but I want to say this is exactly what it is, what you said. A lot of them are not comfortable when biracial men, you have a masculine male figure, because you have to understand in the African American community, it's a matriarchy. So they're used to women being in control and women being the leaders. So when they see a biracial man who's proud to be biracial, like Drake, who identifies as biracial, all of a sudden they're saying he's a colonizer and he's a white supremacist and all this stuff. But Forlight, you've been very patiently quiet. I definitely want to hear what you have to say. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, can you guys hear me good?
Yeah, your audio is good. Yep.
Hey, great, absolute awesome show. I'm listening. Love the commentary you guys are having right now. Recently I saw, and sometimes I don't know if you guys know who Tommy Sotomayor is, who usually bash black women online. A lot of stuff he says pretty great. And recently I saw one of his videos live when he said that he was defending Drake, saying now black people are saying that biracial people aren't black, saying that Drake aren't black. And I think it's a form of, like I said, it's a form of jealousy. It's a form of envy. And you touch upon a great point, Mulatto, and I think the two other brothers that's here also, when you guys said that they want biracial people to remain below black people, which is interesting because, I've been doing a lot of research, and the next video I'm going to make is going to impress or surprise a lot of people, because throughout history, biracial people is throughout history. For example, I've seen they did there's a thing called whitewashing that black people like to say, that white people are whitewashing the icons or the great civil rights leaders in the past, or black leaders in the past. But I came up with a term called blackwashing, because I saw, I've been looking up this guy called Nat Turner. And Nat Turner was a revolutionary guy in the past that a lot of black people like to uphold, saying he fought against the white man per se, right? How he decided to use the scriptures, the Bible, and he fought against the white man and told the slaves to stop being lazy, and he rather choose death than slavery. And I've been researching this guy, and black people made a movie about him, and they portrayed him as this dark-skinned, masculine, veins popping through his head guy that's leading an army of other black people. But when you do the research about Nat Turner, he's actually a biracial person. That and I know that's why I call it blackwashing. So many great leaders that were biracial in the past. It's this guy from South Africa called Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was a light skinned black man, and some people describe him as biracial. I'm going to put this video up. If you guys don't believe me, I have all the information. I'm going to put this video up, and there's a lot more people I'm not naming right now. But here's the thing: it's a form of victimhood. It's a form of trying to make them, like, for example, black people believe, or darker skinned people believe, that they need to bring down other racial group of people to lift themselves up because they have so much insecurities. That's the whole point of the matter. They believe that they need, like, for example, there's a video that I saw with these black Hebrew Israelite guys, and they had these white liberal people that was bowing down and kissing their feet, and they were saying these people are going to go into slavery. The white man is going to go into slavery. So and this is, can you imagine if a group of white people was preaching what that dark black Hebrew Israelite was preaching, and you have a group of black people that was bowing down, kissing their feet? It would have been on all over social media. It would have been on the news. They would have called these people all kinds of KKK racists. They're the most evil people. There's probably might be some kind of jail or something. I don't know, but they believe that they need to bring down a group of people in some kind of servant position where they serve these black people, serve these darker skinned people, because they're the people that's been persecuted in the past. So they deserve to be on top because they've been persecuted so much in slavery and slavery and slavery and slavery. Notice they always bring up slavery to desensitize and basically kind of, put a fairy in people's brain to have a kind of like a sympathy for these people. But if you look in history, black people have owned slave also. They have owned black people themselves. And even if you look deep in history, they have also owned white slaves. So a lot of people don't know this history. So they want to be this victim kind of people, but they themselves have done the same thing that they claim white people have done to them. Almost everyone has been enslaved in the past. So, but they only focus on this small period in history, with the American slave trade, to basically make themselves seem like the victim in all cases, and we just need to just have sympathy and just put them in the forefront of everything. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Like victim privilege, right? Victim privilege. They're trying to
Yep.
leverage that victim. Yeah, it's an old, tired kind of song that a lot of them been singing for a while, and they kind of have to learn to grow and kind of get over it. I feel like the people who get over it, who acknowledge the history in the past and move forward, they're doing much more successful in life than the
Yep.
people who are holding on to it because it seems like it's a burden. It's kind of weighing them down. They're angry constantly. They're bitter. They want revenge. They want to get back at somebody. And it's like, it doesn't seem like it's helping their evolution. It's holding them back.
Can I say something about this?
Sure.
I do think it's a lot to do with the ability, their access to mixed people. Because when they see mixed people, right, they see competition. They also see features that are very similar to the, alleged colonizer that they welcomed freely. If you actually check the history, right, and it's kind of like they're dealing with another ethnic group. Like I was saying, there was many tribal wars. In fact, you see like the phenotype that I was talking about, the Moorish phenotype, which is the light skin biracial phenotype. That was actually there was a war as or something like that. I don't know. They I don't know which group. I don't know. I think it was Arabs that kind of like enslaved them because you know a lot of the biracial men or the Moorish Ethiopian men, they wouldn't focus on being breadwinners. They wouldn't focus on money. They would kind of focus on just their community and maybe the woman. And this kind of it made them ignorant of the situation of like the divisiveness and stuff. So the what's it called, the Moorish phenotype people, right? They would pretty much just stay in a subordinate position until they would come and get colonized. And these black people, these Bantu LARPers, they whenever they see us, not only do they see competition, but they see the woman, they're attracted to the woman, they see this abundance of women, they feel inferior, they worship these features. I think it's, I don't know, I feel like it's something to do with loss. I don't know what it is. Call like something about the colonizer. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's just the 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 ability for them to have this range of different groups of people is the issue, right? Because it's, you know how they say,
Yeah.
oh, we're all in the end of the day, we're different colors, we're all
Yeah,
black in the
all
end of the
come
day.
in all
No,
colors, yeah, and all
no,
shapes,
that
and
is
yeah,
very false.
yeah,
Very false. I don't
yeah,
know why we're the only group of people that want to add every
yeah,
ethnic group to their own. It's like they really hate themselves. It's like a melting pot as well. But the worst part about it is the fact that they will always put the original dark skinned Bantu as the image of the man, right? But
yeah,
they
not the
won't
women.
put
Mm.
the what's it called dark skin
Well,
so Ethiopian, for example. They
well,
will even put them. Go on.
well. Here's the problem. I've said this before. I'll say it again. In the U.S., are you from the UK?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. In the UK, it's different. I think in the U.S., because in the UK you don't have the one drop rule. In the US, you have the one drop rule. And that's been a problem because what that did, and Plessy v. Ferguson, and later on in 24, the Racial Integrity Act did, was it brought people that were prior to the 20th century somewhat independent, meaning mixed race people, not just Creoles in Louisiana, but other mixed race people were somewhat independent as a group. They had their own institutions in cities like Charleston, South Carolina, in New Orleans, Louisiana, and so forth. They had, their own organizations. And so what happened after the Civil, primarily in the late 19th century, getting into the early 20th century, is that now mixed race people are become a fully vested part of Black communities, whereas before they weren't really a part of that. So that was the problem. So now you have people of, that's why this creates what becomes the vestige, the residual of, African Americans come in all shades. Because if you look at every other group, every other ethnic group, that's not the case.
No.
That's certainly not the case. It's not the case with other peoples. And that's not also how they see themselves. And it's also, I would argue, how not African Americans didn't see themselves. Because something seemed to change after the Civil Rights Movement,
I want
after
to,
the 60s and the 70s.
yeah, I want to jump in here real quick. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying because of that whole integration policy. Because basically, what they were asking for was not reparations during the civil rights era. They wanted basically access and sexual access to these other groups, specifically white people. They wanted to have access to these other groups, and that's basically what they were kind of marching for, right? Not all, but that's kind of the general consensus when we look at that. Look at
No,
this
that's not
comment
what they were
here.
marching for.
Well, equal rights and end of segregation, stuff like that. But it's also access to white people, right? Because there were strict laws enforced with separating the two groups, but they wanted those laws to be uplifted so they can have access, right? Look at this comment here. It says, after MLS women get tired of being dogged out by a lot of black men, then they come looking for a mulatto man to take care of her mess of life and with kids that look nothing like us. Because that's the thing, like a lot of these women say, if they're MLS, he's saying MLS, mixed light skin, if they have a kid, if it's a mulatto woman or a Creole woman or whatever, and they're clearly mixed race, you look at these women and then they get with a black male partner and because they just want to basically fit into the black group.
Funny story about that, buddy. I keep
just a
going.
sec-
Finish.
just a second, I just want to finish. But I'll let you continue on. I just want to say, but then see when their results are not good with the black partner, say they get a divorce or they break up and the black partner they have is not helping them take care of their kids. What this gentleman's saying here in the comment is that a lot of these women will look to mulatto men to help them out. But we look at these women and we look at their offspring, their kids. It's sad to say, we're like, they don't look at us. They don't represent our image. Their children are like mostly black. They don't look nothing like their mama or nothing like us, the men. So it's like, well, it's a hard sell. It's a hard sale for us because the men who have integrity, principles, and self-respect, we're looking at this like, I'm not going to be the cleanup man to another man. I can't really welcome you into my community like that. Like, you can, do what you do and that's fine, you can support, but like, that's not, they're not going to get preferential treatment because they kind of chose their pathway of what community they kind of want to serve. But go ahead, for like.
Yeah, I was recently talking to a mix. Funny, I was recently talking to a mix mulatto woman that I met. I met her at Starbucks, and I was just start up a conversation, and I got her number. True story. And I was in my office, and then I decided to call her. First I text her because it's kind of weird to call her, right? So I text her, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" She texted me back. Anyway, long story short, we were on the phone and we went on camera, and then she saw me. I'm more like a little bit like light brown, right? If in the summertime I get a little bit more darker, but she saw me, and we were having a discussion about race, and I said, "Hey, why don't you get a like a mixed mulatto man? Why do you like mixed mulatto man?" And she instantly, quickly, rapidly said that she don't like um light skinned man. She didn't say mulatto. She said she don't like light skinned man. She likes dark skin. The darker they are, the better. That's what she said. True story. And so I started saying, "You don't like yourself." I asked her, "You don't like yourself?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's just that, I want my kids to be darker." And this is when
She
I
wants to
started
fit
telling her,
in. Yeah, she
right,
wants to fit
right.
into the black community. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Question,
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So
Go ahead,
like,
for light. Go ahead, for light. You can finish. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So so I keep talking to her, and I said, "Listen, that's kind of colorist. You don't like your skin complexion. You don't like who you are." She's like, yeah, but my father was black, so I want my father to, I want a guy that looks like my father, right?" So I asked her. I said, "Were you raised by your father?" I said, sorry, yes. I said, I asked, was your mother raised by your father? She said, "No." I said, "Where is your father?" She said, "I don't know. He left."
Typical.
I, I
Typical.
said, and I said, "Okay, cool. Um, were you raised just by your mother?" She said, "No." So I said, who raised, who was it? You had a stepfather?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, what race was your stepfather?" "He was a light-skinned Puerto Rican man." So the light-skinned Puerto Rican man stepped in and took care of her. So I said, "Why don't you want a Puerto Rican man, like a light-skinned Puerto Rican man like your father?" She said, I just don't like the light skin." I'm like, "Oh, jeez." I'm like, what is wrong with these women? And
Yeah.
go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with you, affirming. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I've seen a lot of light skinned women saying this, and they're saying their preferences is dark skin and et cetera and so forth, right? And I've seen a lot of women bashing light skinned brothers and so forth, right? And the other brother talk about separating mulattoes from light skinned man, but at this point, it's going to be a little bit impossible because when people look at you as a mulatto mixed man, like a lot of them is not going to see a mulatto mixed man most of the times, right? There's some mulatto guys that you can actually tell he's mixed, but there's also a lot of them they look like a light skinned brother, right, from the hood, right? So here's the thing: a lot of these women are talking about preference, but when you have, what does preference mean when you have a lot of people in the black community, I'm gonna get a little bit more harsh right now. A lot of people in the black community, and I've been doing my studies. When you have over 50% of black women with lifetime STIs, right? That they're getting from these Pookies and these black men that they think is tough and is masculine, etc. When you have all these women are catching all these different things, and there's reports on this right now. I'm going to do a video on this, right? What does preference mean anymore in that kind of situation? When you have black men who are leaving a lot of these women, becoming making these women single mothers, what does preference mean in that situation? It doesn't mean anything at this point, but because they want to fit in so much that they're willing to take the risk of catching lifetime STDs. They're willing to take the risk of becoming single mothers. They're willing to take the risk of being associated with this degenerate culture that they want to call culture, because they really believe being a single mother is black culture, and I can
You
prove
make
that
a
I had a
great point. Make
yeah.
a
Go ahead,
very
brother. Go
great
ahead.
point. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. You make a really good point. I wanted to agree with you because that's basically their pathway. It's kind of like a ritual or a rites of passage for a lot of the mixed women into
Acceptance.
blackness. Is they look at that being a baby mama, well, they're like, well, that's synonymous with like African American culture. They're saying that's a part of black culture. But you also made another point where a lot of these women, they have white moms and black dads. A lot of most biracials in America, a lot of the times their black dad was never around. So they've only had contact with their white mom. So they're like growing up kind of confused about their cultures, and they're starving for this black identity. They're starving to be connected with the blackness, so to speak. And they feel like their only pathway to get in tune and into touch with their Africanity, so to speak, their black heritage, is to get with a black individual. Sadly, a lot of these women, they get with like some of the lower caliber males, they end up baby mamas. The unfortunate part about it is they end up thinking that, okay, they're going to, slander lighter skinned men or slander biracial men because they made kind of, irresponsible decisions. And then they think in return that the biracial guy, since there's a lot of us now out here, we're going to turn around and like uphold them and select them as like potential mates. We're like, well, wait a second. You kind of already chose your pathway of what community you identify with. Why the hell are you looking to me to help save you? No, but yeah. Anyone else want to jump in there?
Yeah, I do wanted to. I want to jump in. Like, there's a guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say his name. I think you already know the guy. He was talking about like how he wants to move to a foreign mixed country,
Yeah, I know who
right?
you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He made videos. Like, obviously, it was kind of like an incel rant, but he was on about how like he was showing a dark skinned brother, right, with two light skinned mulatto women, right?
Yeah, yep.
And he's obviously complaining, and he said he doesn't have a problem. No, he can date a black woman and all that type of stuff. So you can see like the mindset of many biracial men. It's more like of like, okay, if you're gonna date anyone that's not in your image, or you're gonna pick them, whatever, I'm done with you. I'm not gonna put energy. I'm not gonna even invest. That is actually what I think I realized about them. I've realized is, even if they're outside, they don't even really like looking at each other. It's because of the fact that they chose the culture, the path they want. They don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to connect. And even if you actually look at like musicians, rappers, right? Many of them, they're very abusive to the women. And then there's one guy, right? He's gone now though. He was abusive to a mixed woman, right? I don't know. I think you know this guy, X Tentacion. Do you know who that is, right?
Yeah, I know who
I'm
he
not
is.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. He abused his ex girlfriend. She was a mixed mulatto woman, right? And the reason was because every time she would kind of like give more preferential treatment, or like kind of like laugh at someone else's jokes, and the guy didn't even look like him, right? Or in just in general, it was someone else. So basically, she was kind of like worshiping or acknowledging other. She was not like respecting him, right? So he used to he used to abuse her. He used to do all types of stuff, and she called the police. So you can see there's a lot of dysfunction with some biracial people. I actually I see this. So I'm starting to understand. It's more like it's more like some sort of hate love type thing, and like identity issue. So I feel like the best direction most mixed guys can take is just it's pretty much one leaving the community. That's the best thing. Let me tell you why. I don't see any benefits we get. I feel like we do just fine. I think we're smart
Yep.
enough. I think we can do stuff on our own. I don't think we
Mixed
really
people
need.
get best of both worlds. That's the thing.
That.
That's how powerful mulattoes are. They get best of both worlds, right? Because you gotta understand that genetics do exist, and if you're a mulatto, you literally are a Superman. You get best of both worlds. You get the conquering nature, the characteristics. You get the smarts. You get the strength. You get everything in between. So it's almost like a superior kind of people. But you guys are basically, they're telling you guys that you guys are soft.
Yeah,
Especially the man, they're telling you that you man that you're soft, that you're this and that. And
they're trying to
I'm
humble
saying
us. Yeah, they're trying to humble us.
exactly. And I'm seeing the really amazingness, if that's a word. When I'm doing a lot of research right now. This is why I haven't been posting up. And in my next video that I'm posting, you're gonna see a lot of mixed mulattoes that you guys probably don't even know about. That's throughout history that created a lot of things that we're using right now. Even the hip hop that people are claiming belongs to the dark skinned black man. It was actually created by a mulatto brother from Jamaica, my country, right? So there is so many information that is out there. I'm amazed that this wasn't pushed in the forefront. And like I said, there's a thing called blackwashing that I don't know if that's been created by me, but that's what I'm using, where a lot of these historical icons that were mulattoes that they portrayed as a darker skinned brother. So
Yeah, I
a
think they talk
lot of
about
history.
Peter, right? The light skinned
Well, I
guy.
mean,
Right?
yeah, I was going to say the guy was talking about the woman that I don't know if he was on a date with her or they were just talking over the phone. Did she give a reason for why she wasn't interested in kind of mixed race guys or
No,
biracial guys?
she did not give
Do
any
you know?
reason at all. I just
Right.
asked because I've been my channel right now. I don't know. Maybe it's God that gave me this name for light because that's not really what I wasn't trying to defend light skinned people or anything like that. I just came up with that title beforehand. But I know I would just lead into the conversation, because I wanted this discussion because she told me she was mixed mulatto. So I said,
Mhm.
okay, let me ask her this question. So
Okay. Okay.
You
So
guys,
here's something that you have to keep in mind. And I've said this to other people. What you have to understand is that mixed race people don't have a cohesive community in the United States. So it's not like other than examples like the Creole. And I don't even know if they're still cohesive in Louisiana. So when you look at a lot of biracial people, often they don't know other biracial people. They're
mm,
not aware. They've never met. So I don't know if you asked her or she told you if you were one of the few biracial men she met, but that might be a factor. You have to keep in mind it's not like there are lots of places across the country. Maybe it's better now, but they're not like there are a lot of places across the country where mixed race people are in cohesive communities together, get to know one another, get to understand each other, get to be something resembling a community. It's largely spread out even now. And so what often happens is that a number of mixed race people don't even meet mixed race people until they're online in a group
that is true.
or
That's
maybe
true.
in that. So you have to consider that. And so when it comes to see her case is different. It sounds like she's somebody that grew up around other types of people and didn't know African Americans too much. So what happens with some biracial people, like I guess in this case biracial women, is they may be from African American communities, that's all they know. So those are the kind of men they're attracted to. One, because that's the kind of guys that they know and they've been around. And two, they may not know biracial guys. And three, that may not be kind of an option to them. You may be kind of a mystery to them, or
Because
that
of numbers.
aspect.
I
It's
think
a numbers
here's what I go
situation.
ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, go ahead for that.
I think I think she. I, here's the thing. I don't think she, quote unquote, haven't met mixed people.
Mhm.
She was raised in Miami. She said, you know, Miami is a very like multicultural place, right? So I think the issue is social media, like the social media push of this idea to love degeneracy, love these rappers, love people that just push degeneracy, you know, and it's degeneracy is cool right now. Even white women are going towards this standing on degeneracy, right? Because it's a cool thing now to be degenerate.
Yeah,
And one of the
yeah.
cool thing right now is to lead towards the darker skinned Bantu, you know, basically just to um
Dude,
you know go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, yeah, like with the degeneracy, I was gonna say with the rappers, I'm kind of confused to how, like, even there's, you know, Lil Durk, right? He's light skinned. That guy's light skinned. He's lighter skinned. Even 21 Savage, yeah, I don't know. I guess they identify as black, right? Okay, but Lil Durk kind of like he said he was mixed in some video, but these
Spot
guys
him
are not
got him.
dark,
You know who
right?
Spot him got him is? Spot him got him.
No, yeah, who? No, I
He's
don't
a
know.
rapper. He's a rapper. He's mixed. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah. These guys are in that degenerate front, but I don't know why for whatever reason they're not. They like these girls are not chasing. They're just chasing that specific rapper, right? It's really funny. It's kind of like I don't know how they're doing it, like how they kind of like promote this image and whatever, but it's like this degenerate image of like dark skinned guys that are unkempt, that are more kind of like very dysfunctional
Like
baby
Kodak
mom
Black.
drama.
Yeah,
What?
like Kodak Black, the rapper. It like you said, it's part of that dysfunction, the culture. This is precisely. It's like rebellious as well. It's this rebellious nature. Sorry to cut you guys off. I did want to move along a little bit because I do have just one or two more slides, this comment to go over. So I want to go over this real quickly. Puts here, why do so many MLS female content creators celebrate mediocre dustiness from Kangs but slander and defame MLS men? Something's not adding up. The gentleman puts here, because most MLS women are raised by and around MLS mammies who are also raised to do the same, and that is worship average mediocre DS, which is dark skin, and BM black men, and to treat their light skin as if it's a defect that needs correction. So a lot of these women suffer from self-hate. They hate the fact that they're mixed and light skin. There's many biracial women who have DM'd me on IG, and they've literally they're not publicly, privately admitted to me. They said they hated the fact that they were mixed. They just want to be black. That's very true. A lot
Right,
of people.
right.
And he puts here, they are told crap by these mammies, which are moms, aunts, sisters, grandmoms, folks they respect. Like if they date an MLS mixed light skinned man, your kids will be white. So they're trying to tell them, look, fit in with the black community, get a black skinned guy.
Oh
Don't get
man.
a mixed guy. It says here, you look like brother and sister. They repeat the MLS men are soft, right? Or we're weak and sassy soft, like they're saying with Drake. And even though Drake is challenging all these guys, it's like 20 verse 1. How is Drake so soft? They're trying to say BBL Drake and all this crap. But why is it so many men are challenging one guy? Drake doesn't have any reinforcements. The game actually jumped in to support Drake because the game is light skin. He's like a red bone guy from LA, from Compton. And the game didn't like the fact that Rick Ross was calling Drake a white boy and talking about his skin tone. So that's why the game jumped in and threw a diss track to Rick Ross, because the game took offense. So that's like the only rapper who was cool with Drake that basically was like, okay, let me challenge Rick Ross, right? But J. Cole pushed out, another biracial guy. So a lot of these guys, they're not supporting Drake. Drake is like by himself, right? And he's proven he's a man, 20v1. All these guys versus one biracial guy. So how is he sassy? That's why they're trying to throw allegations out and talking about BBL Drizzy. They're trying to basically defame him to be like a sissy or a wuss because they can't win when it's toe to toe battle. Let's continue on with this.
And just to say this also, a lot of these, there's some lighter skinned mulatto brothers that's trying to bash Drake also to try
Yeah,
to show that they're down with the black people. Go ahead, bro.
yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right that they're loyal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's always, it's been that way with everything for a very long time. I see that heavily where you have mixed guys who are talking crap about Drake saying, "Oh, I'm not a biracial like Drake. You know, I know who I am. Oh, Drake's a colonizer. He's from Canada or some stupid crap." Yeah. But Drake's dad is Black American. Let's continue on. It says here, like if you date a MLS man, your kids will be white. You look like brother and sister. They repeat the MLS, yeah, softness, right? And say they hate MLS men because they believe Blackistan likes that. Now, mind you, these mammies are 60 plus years old now and still living in the hood with a 10-year-old used luxury car, right, in the carport and have plastic on their furniture. For most MLS women, they are raised to believe mediocrity is success. Give old, dark-skinned Jack Leg Rev a dark-skinned daughter or a light-skinned, I think he says daughter, he is gone. At 60 plus, mammy working, her mediocre man is sitting on his rear end. MLS girls are programmed, equaled brainwashed at a young age by black men and MLS mammies at a young. That is normal and the way to be. So he put a lot there. I mean, he put this earlier today. I screenshotted it. Gentlemen's in the chat. I wish he hop up on the panel, to be honest with you, because I'm reading his comments, but it's very interesting, his kind of observation here, because he makes a lot of valid points where it's this programming and brainwashing at an early age. But go ahead. Everybody has the
Well,
floor. Go ahead.
look,
Yeah.
here's again, I don't think people are kind of getting it. You have to understand you're in the United States. It's not South Africa. It's not Cape Verde. It's not countries, not Brazil. It's not countries where you have a developed and to some extent cohesive mixed race community. So what you have seen historically is you have biracial people. We're specifically talking black, white, or black other types of biracial. They're probably raised in black communities around African Americans. So that's what they know.
Good
So
point.
it's, again, you have to look at, I have to stress this in the years that I've been on groups and I've said this, you have to understand where you are and what you are. They're not going to look at biracial guys. In this case, we're talking about maybe these mixed race women. Yeah, they may not know a lot of biracial guys. They may not know any. So the first thing they're not going to think about are romantically are biracial guys. And I don't care about relationships because I'm a single guy, but you have to look at it logically. You have to look at it realistically.
Yeah, that is
So,
very
yeah, you have the internet. That's true. But the internet is, again, it's still people in online communities. You're living in one state, this person's in another, and they don't really know each other. They would come to groups and they had never talked to biracial people. They had never interacted with them. They were used to being around various types of monoracial people, black, white, or other.
You make a
So you
very
have to understand that.
you make a
It's
very
like,
valid point. You're
yeah,
absolutely
it's
100%
the
correct.
reality.
The
It's the
exposure,
reality, guys.
it's
Yeah,
kind of a new development now that these kind of mixed
right.
communities or online spaces are, emerging. But I see mixed people all over the place, like in the area I'm living at, and I travel around
Hmm.
the town. And whenever, like, even I referenced on my live like a week ago, I went to like a company training, and there were several mulatto women at the event. And of course, like as soon as I was there, I saw them, and I'm gonna go up to them and talk to them. Like, whenever I see mulatto people, mulatto women, or mulatto men, like I'm always trying to extend an olive branch and like identify with them. That's basically how I'm operating now. But this is kind of a new development to a lot of people. They're developing this consciousness. Look at this comment here. This is the last comment before I kind of finish out all the extra comments and stuff.
Let me just say this before you go to the next comment. A lot
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
lot of
Yeah.
a lot of mulattoes, light skinned brothers, you want to use those also. a lot of them are taught or some kind of brainwashed to be crash dummies for a lot of darker skinned black people, you know, to sympathize with their victim hood nature, you know, to the point where a lot of mulattoes are willing to take hits or get shamed or are mocked by them. You know, you're just supposed to just sit there and take it when they call you certain names, when they say you're not, you know, you know, you're part of the Satan gene because they call the white man the devil, right?
Right,
You know,
right.
you're
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of the devil gene. You know, so a lot of mulattoes are forced into accepting this attack or this shame by these other group of people just on the mere fact that they have that they're mixed, right? So
That's
that's
wrong. It's wrong. Yeah.
yeah, it's wrong, but they're willing to accept it to the point where even the women are. That's why a lot of the women are saying, okay, I don't want to be a part or close to the white man because
Yeah.
the white man is the bad person and the black people are the good ones that are the victims.
They're
So this is
virtuous.
why
They're victims. Yeah,
right.
they're victims. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's you know
And
like I remember. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
actually,
No,
go
you
go
go
ahead.
ahead. You can go ahead. Finish off. You're good. You're
Yeah,
going.
it's just like how a lot, you know, I remember there was a something that happened to this white man, like his daughter got raped and murdered, right, by these group of darker skinned black men. And, you know, he was in court and he had tears in his eyes and looking at these guys that raped and murdered his daughter. And I knew that this man, this white man, wanted to say all kinds of N-word, but because they've put this image out there that black people are just they're the victims at all times, even when they rob, steal, and kill, they're just the victims that we're just supposed to sympathize with them. Where a lot of people are pushed back, are willing to accept the mock, the embarrassment, you know, just you know, let's accept them. They've been through so much to the point where these women are willing to even sleep with them because they want to say that, hey, I'm cool like you guys also. I support you because you are the victim. I'm not racist, right? This was a big word where people are scared of being called, right? So this have turned them into like this class of
Docile.
support.
Yeah,
Yeah,
docility. Mhm.
where you can't really do anything, right? Like light skinned brothers, you know, in the hood. I'm pretty sure you brothers have heard this also that they've been getting bullied and attacked, and basically, you know, they have to fight their way because they a lot of them actually hate light skinned brothers that are not even mulattoes. So just imagine how bad it is for the mulattoes. I think they get it the worst in the hood, you know.
Can I say
So
something? Yeah, so you see like how there's like this whole term that I was saying before, like black comes in no shades. Those people that you're calling like mulattoes, that dark, light skin, black, all that type of stuff, those people are what you call basically they're like multi-generationally mixed, so they've been actually miscegenated or they intermixed. It's like a biracial person married a black person, right? They had a mixed person. That person either has like a light skin or a dark skin, they will still have those mixed features. Then that person that's darker skin, that's more mixed, they have another black person. So this is really the diversity that it really created, right? Because of the mixed men, kind of like just I don't know what happened. Like they've decided to like stay in this position where like they're in servitude instead of them creating their own community. What I've actually realized, what I actually think is the thing is, if you actually look at the history of the world, right, and in the black community in America, right, you have Marcus Garvey, and he actually united in Jamaica. He actually like united all African continents with America and him being in Jamaica. He united all those countries and he created a united Negro independence movement, right? Then there's actually another subgroup. There's another thing, and it's called the Moors. I'm not sure if you, Mulatto Van God, has heard of this, right? But there's a guy, right, Noble Drew, something like that, related to like that dude. You know what's his name again? There's this guy. Um, that guy that made the Islam movement, right? You know the
Elijah Muhammad. Elijah
yeah
Muhammad.
yeah 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 Nation of Islam, right? there's a guy, and he basically has a book, right, religious book, basically teaching that the Asiatics basically are black people, and that they should identify as Moors, right? And that's back to what I was saying with the phenotypic thing. Basically, what from my perspective of things, I feel like biracials, no, I know biracials are basically brainwashed to think that they are just a people with no collective history, no identity, no purpose type, and they're just kind of like this people that float around, and they don't have any sense of purpose, and
Yes.
that that's really what that's what I know. I know that they basically are completely brainwashed, and
Yes.
they're completely oblivious to everything, because it's clearly obvious. They say, "Oh, I'm mixed. I identify as mixed. Oh, I'm confused." They don't know. They don't research, and it's clearly like the case that they are literally conditioned to kind of feel like they are nothing. So that it does make sense. And also back to that comment, or like the comment in the YouTube video, right, or your live, where the mixed women are like kind of like hating themselves or conditioned to hate themselves. It's this all comes down to the fact that they feel like they don't have a sense of identity. They don't know what they are. They believe they're residue from white people. They don't have their own identity, right? It's all down to this identity issue, really. So what I think is kind of like a community. This is one of the only solutions. Now you obviously have a YouTube channel. You got more Vanguard. This I could give a biracial guy here this channel. He can watch it. He'll be more conscious about the issues that he's facing that he may not be aware of, right? That's already one like solution. Just that alone, this it will create awareness, right? Then if you have actual like school, or I don't know, a place that could be rented, or some event, I don't know, whatever, right? If something is created, some sort of communita, right, is put in place, where basically biracial people collectively talk about their experiences and whatever, and is protected. I feel like you can go somewhere with that, because uh clearly, I wouldn't lie, I was kind of similar to that dude that was like making incel videos, right? Because I hate myself, I hate everything. Like I hate the world. I hate how Europeans would call me black, and then also black people also come and hate on me. And then it was like the whole world was like against. And then on top of that, my own race of women, weren't with me, right? So you can imagine how that would feel, right?
Yeah,
So
this is why channels like Mulatto Vanguard is very important.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
again, go ahead.
just a second, Al. Yeah, I'm trying to give people another option, an alternative option, because people feel like they don't have an option. And like everything you said, the gentleman from the UK, I don't know how you want to be addressed here on the panel, but what you said is very true. Like a lot of these biracials, they don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know where to fit in. And they're just basically, like you said, floating around. That analogy fits perfectly. Like they're trying to find out where they fit in and who to serve and all this stuff. And it's not a real authentic experience or existence. Being a subordinate or a guest under another group, they can always be outgrouped and kicked out in that guest status. So I'm trying to, basically channel this mulatto-ness and have this banner to where people can say, oh, look, this is what I identify with. This is who I am. This is the history. But check out this comment here, guys. I'll let you guys continue on. Just want to kind of gloss over this comment real quick. This is the last one here. Puts here, I will add here, MLS men see black men as non-competitors, which is, and he highlighted, he uppercase that in capital letters, which is true. I've thought that my whole life, and especially I'm only in my mid-30s, but in my 20s, I'm a mixed guy. I never saw black men as a competitor. I didn't think that they were in competition with me. A lot of that kind of changed when I started to realize, oh, wait a second, they look at me as competition because they want the mixed women. So they want to dirty mac me and kind of basically tarnish my value. Let me continue on. Puts here.
They will do anything for vagina. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, especially, yeah, I've noticed that over the years, especially for mixed women. It's sad. But let me continue on here. I'm going to finish this off. It puts, but in reality, we know they are not, and thus ignore them. We are not in the mud pit. They are, we have no reason or need to get into that self-made sewer with them. It's self-made, right? The crab bucket puts here, MLS women for some reason see black, oh, excuse me. Sorry. MLS women for some reason see black women as their biggest competitors. So we look at the biracial baby mamas and they're going against the exotical women, right? And exotical women is made up of mainly black women. A lot of them are mixed, but they're basically kind of both feminist like content, spaces, right? And so that's the thing. Like the mixed women, they look at the black women as their competitors. They're talking about Chrissy and the divestors and all this crap. In reality, they are not either, but female psyche will not allow them to see this. Both MLS women and black women are tearing up on media over a prize no other woman wants. She is 400 pounds white and out of options. However, women black or MLS forget no other man created nor practices colorism other than dark-skinned black men. In 2024, these are his opinions, but I tend to agree with it. So these lowest men on the male hierarchy, now he's a totem pole. He's saying that people will disagree, but as far as military or economic power, there's a lot of people who will say that what he's saying is accurate. There's some weight to it. Start these fights and then sit back and watch. So he's saying that a lot of black men who develop colorism because they want the lighter skinned women, right? Mixed women, they'll sit back and watch the exoticals and the biracial baby mamas kind of fight each other. And they're like, oh, it's good content. The black women and biracial women are fighting each other. It puts why MLS women are lowering themselves down to do the same. Low standards as black women is odd and not natural. Normally, the strongest females seek the strongest males, but MLS women seek the weakest men on earth, and that is black men. Again, that's his opinion. He's putting that. I'm just reading the comment. I like the comment you can see here because he's making a lot of valid points, but he's wording it in a way that's definitely kind of thought-provoking. Puts here, I also believe that maybe that MLS women can dominate and manipulate them very easily. With us, that is not happening. That's what it is, because they know a lot of the mixed women, they can dominate and manipulate darker skinned men easily.
Where because they worship them, because they worship them. They worship these women.
They simp for them because they have good hair, loose curly hair, light skin. Where with the mixed men, excuse my language, I've mainly been with a lot of Latinas, Chicana women. I've been with biracial women. I've been with white women. So to me, it's nothing new to get a lighter skinned chick, a chick my complexion. I can get that ass. It's nothing new. It's not special. I'm not going to simp for the woman. That's what the man's saying here, where it's like a lot of these women, they know with like the darker skinned man, they can get them to like simp for them to a degree where the lighter skinned man, the mixed man will be like, no, you're not going to pull that game on me. So he puts here, B will tell Jay-Z she can have another man in a minute, right? Beyonce telling Jay-Z with the song, you can have another man in a minute, but I bet she would not tell Drake that. And he finishes off by saying a dark-skinned black woman would wait for Diddy to sleep and take him out. They see our women as willing punching bags, like with what Diddy did to Cassie, saying. But yeah, I said a lot there. Interesting comment. You, Forlight, anybody else? I think Forlight has some words to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, great comment. The thing about it, when it comes to lighter skinned women, when they go for the darker skinned brothers, is that, like I said before, these women, I think Al Show said this. Shout out to Al Show. I'm gonna see if I can find his YouTube channel. He have a great commentary. I think a lot of these light skinned women, they're raised around darker skinned black men. Let's be honest, a lot of them go to black schools, where they have other black people, and they would see the degeneracy of all these younger black girls that are getting pregnant at a young age. A lot of them are going for the thugs. A lot of them are going for the dope boys, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of them believe, oh, that's cool. and then they see the lighter skinned brothers, right? These are not really mulattoes. You can be mulattoes or lighter skinned brothers who are getting bullied or mocked, for their skin complexion. I've seen it myself. I have a best friend who's lighter skinned Haitian, and he had to go into jiu-jitsu. He's in boxing, right? He's in law enforcement now, but what he told me, how he used to get bullied a lot. He used to fight a lot on the mere fact that he was light skinned, because a lot of the brothers thought he was soft, right? And this is before it was the blow up of the social media thing, right? So this has been going on for a very, very long time, right? And I'm surprised people just started talking about it. I posted up this video of this lighter skinned sister that says she wanted to leave the black community with the lighter skinned brothers. And I, this is how the sisters need to start talking. This is how the mulatto brothers need to start talking. This is why channels like this is amazing channels that I highly support, because when black people start seeing mulattoes, right, especially, I'm telling you, the mulattoes are going to gather the light skinned brothers, because the lighter skinned brothers are going to say, okay, now I see the movement. Now I see the warriors, right? And a lot of them are going to start joining in with the mulattoes, and you guys are going to become something where the women want to join, right? Because a lot of these women online, right? And I've been researching, doing my thing, seeing what light skinned people are saying, seeing what mulattoes are saying, on YouTube, seeing what's new. And I see a lot of the mulatto sisters are talking about hair. They're talking about, girls, listen, this stringy hair right here, exoticals. Yeah, they're really not talking about any real issue. So it's only some of the sisters are actually talking about real issues. They're not really talking about the real issue. They're talking about different texture hair, which one has wider nose and small nose. I'm like, what is this? This is not helping anything. And what's crazy, those are the women that have most subscribers from the mulattoes. They're not subscribed to the people that's talking about the real issues, the bullying, the attacks, the hate, like what Jason just said, how he hated himself as a mulatto brother. Like, that's sad to hear. The sisters that's watching, the exoticals and all these different sisters that talk about hair, you just have a mulatto.
Desirability.
Go ahead.
I look at it this way.
Desirability politics is what it is, and that
Well,
because in social media, women dominate social media. All of us men here, we're all working adults, right? We're all professionals. We all work, but so this is like a part-time endeavor. This is like a side gig. I'm up late at night
right,
having this YouTube stream. So this isn't our like full-time like job, right? So
right.
a lot of women, they utilize social media more than men. It's a fact across all the platforms. So that whole hair care and desirability politics and celebrity gossip, that niche, it definitely caters to a broad audience, which is mostly
Mhm.
women. But go ahead.
Right. And so you have to understand I think that's more of a conscious decision on the part of content. It's safer content. Because maybe for most of those content creators,
Absolutely, Alsho. I
they're,
agree, brother. Go
they're
ahead.
not going to get people coming to them if they talk about bullying and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, I had heard what the gentleman said about his personal views. From my perspective, I grew up around other kinds of people, so I never really dealt with African Americans growing up. So I didn't really deal with any of these kinds of problems. So once I got into YouTube specifically, and I dealt for the brief time that I was on YouTube, relatively brief time. Once I kind of dealt with some African Americans, I saw the kind of pushback because I had heard from biracial people before. Some of them got bullied when they were kids. I don't know anything about that. I never was bullied for being biracial. Some of them did fight a little or had to fight a bit, or some of them fought a lot. I never did because I never had to face stuff like that. Then there's the issue of I don't think in terms of biracial females. I'm flexible when it comes to. I'm single anyway, so I don't really care about being in a relationship or being married. But I've been flexible. So, and the impression I get is that biracial guys often they don't really have a problem with other types of women. So I don't think that's an issue. But from my perspective, I learned about what other biracial people went through very late in life, like in my 40s, having not had any familiarity It's all alien to me. So again, I think what with the previous examples that you mentioned, that's why I keep talking about history and community. You got to understand, when you don't have a community of your own, when you don't have a cohesive group that you're a part of, when you don't have a space or a place that's yours, you're in this other community and you've got to try to fit. And that's the way it's been for mulatto slash biracial people or multiracial people for over 100 years in this country. They've been in this community and they've done what they've had to do to try to fit in some way. People do that.
Right.
But you have to understand that. Like, they don't see options, even though
Yeah.
to you it may seem they're options. They
Yeah.
don't see that.
Not everybody, the thing is,
And, yeah,
not everybody has the same options, or not everybody
right.
sees the same options. My goal with my social media, especially with YouTube, is to provide options, to let people know, look at the history, look at this video, listen to my commentary. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Let's have a dialogue. I just want people to know they have another option, but they have to ask questions, look at the problem, and find
Mhm.
some solutions. And ultimately, I want to develop cohesion, and I want to work with good people, regardless of who they
Mhm.
are. Let's connect and work with good people. But I'm going to close things out now. I want everybody to have their final words because it is getting late. Got to work tomorrow early in the morning.
Yeah, I have to work tomorrow. Let me get my
Yeah.
final word. Okay, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, oh, yeah. My final words are what apart from YouTube, what other options you think are the best for a mulatto person to create a sense of community in real life, not online?
Yeah, there's many different I don't know if the question is for sure probably directed at me. There's many other avenues, like you can create private groups, tell you have Discord. I know you utilize Discord as well. And whatever area you're in the UK, whatever town or province, to develop a kind of group chat or a regional specific meetup group, and just try to develop some cohesion there with having some kind of recreational activities going on, like a monthly meetup, like a hike or like a mixer. They call it a mixer. You can, like, oh, let's meet up at this restaurant over here. Let's all, let's go to Starbucks, let's talk, let's chat, or do a book review, doing book clubs, book reviews. I'm just throwing out some ideas because these are things that eventually I will implement. But these are good ways to develop cohesion
Wow,
and bring a
amazing.
community together, go on
That
hiking, book clubs, bring people together and develop some type of community. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, the internet is surprisingly can reach a lot of people. Like I don't even get it. Since I started doing this thing about mulattoes and light skinned men and talking about the what they've been going through and light skinned women, my views has gone on a little bit, but I'm also gaining subscribers from like different people. So I'm losing because when I was, the black men don't mind when you talk about how bad black women are and how bad the women are. But soon as you start talking about issues like these, all of a sudden they don't want to focus on things like that because they want the mulattoes to fight for them, but they don't want to fight for the mulatto, especially the man. They will probably fight for the mulatto women before they fight for the man, but the mulatto men always fight for the black people in general. And the social media is a very powerful tool. So if you created like some kind of profile, some kind of channel that you can create, you can use Twitter, Facebook, so forth, post up couples of light skinned people. Like I've had this couple message me on Instagram and say, hey, I love your videos, what you said about mulattoes and light skinned men and what they're going through. Thank you, I support you. So I've had couples that message me. I posted them on my channel, so and my channel isn't even that big yet, so you can imagine, so you can start off small, create a channel, create Twitter, Facebook. The internet reaches really far, trust me.
I have a idea, by the way, like a name that you could call one of these like in-group meetups. One could be mulatto meetup. Another could be more meetup. I don't know. Uh, tribal meetup. I don't know anything like. These are just ideas for you, like Malo Vanguard. If you are gonna be the one to kind of like implement it, or like I don't know, like kind of like make a Discord and then be like, oh, UK in group meetup, and then I could like go. You could bring people, say join this, and then they could go ahead. They could talk on that platform there. Then
Yeah.
people in the US, they do that wherever they are regionally. I don't know. You could even put states. That is just that, and maybe even something can be implemented there. That could also help bring in more viewers as well, because you're now advertising not only just Discord but the YouTube channel, because obviously from that Discord then you could have that YouTube channel. Yeah, that's just an idea.
Yeah, you make a very
Well,
valid point. I appreciate that. Appreciate this comment here. He puts YouTube looks for any reason to cancel any mulatto male rant channels. They're definitely shadow banning the hell out of me. My other channel, the first one I kind of started,
Same
Mulatto
here.
Vanguard, they get strike. I got community strikes, and ever since then, like my numbers just dipped. Like they're not pushing my content as well. They're suppressing the numbers. It's very unfortunate, but that's a
I,
lesson
uh,
learned.
so,
Yep.
go ahead. Go ahead.
so here's what I see. I've been on biracial groups for over a decade, social media groups, and I was briefly on YouTube biracial YouTube spaces. So here's the reality. Here are the facts. It's still politically incorrect to be mixed race, biracial, multiracial in America.
Amazing. Thank
That's
you.
just
Thank
the
you.
reality. If you want the take home point, if you want the summation, the précis, the thesis, that's it. It's politically incorrect. It has been for specifically mulatto or black and white mixed race people for over 100 years because of the history, because of the One Trump Rule, because of Plessy v. Ferguson, because of the 1924 Racial Integrity Act. So you have a people who used to have a community in places like Charleston, South Carolina, New Orleans, Louisiana. But that has been eroded because they had to be part of another community. And thus, when you're part of another community, what do you want to do? Fit in. Now, as somebody who was raised around other kinds of people in a more multicultural, multiracial kind of environment, I don't really fit in. I don't need to. I don't need to try to be something else. That's alien to me. Now, for other people who are mixed race, they may not know any better. They're just trying their best to get through life, and they think this is the way to go. But for me, it's easy for me to be mixed race because that's all I know. Thus, when I've come on YouTube, specifically after having 10 years on these social media groups, I'm used to dealing with other mixed race people. I'm used to dealing with other biracial people. I'm used to hearing their issues, hearing the things they like, dislike, strengths, weaknesses, whatever. And so when I got on here, and when you're dealing with monoracial people, some monoracial people are offended when you even state that you're biracial. When you even say, yeah, I'm not really you, I'm me, and I'm a mixed race person. For them, that means that you're rejecting them. Why? I don't
Yeah.
know. You would have to ask them. But you're stating the obvious and logical is offensive to some people. So you have to kind of see that it's a very because of history, because people are trying to fit into communities. I see and I understand that people's experiences are very different from mine. I can just be a mixed race person. It's not a problem. Somebody wants to call me names. What do their names mean to me? I don't care. I don't have to fit into your little social club. I don't have to be a part of your institution. I went to a public college. I didn't go to your college. I wasn't a part of your fraternity. I'm not a part of your little group. I'm not a part of any of this stuff. So none of that matters to me. And I don't have an issue with it because I think it's perfectly valid for monoracial people.
The
When
thing
you
is,
live a
oh, go ahead.
biracial life, people have an issue with it. That's one of the things that people have to understand here. Why that's the case, you're going to have to talk to the monoracial people. They're going to have to tell you. Just like the lady with this guy here who said she's not into mixed race guys or like whatever kind of guys. Why? Well, this, that, and the other thing, but no real reason. You won't necessarily get a reason, or you might get a number of reasons. At the end of the day, what can only, it has to start with you first. If you don't have an identity or a reality as a mixed race person, as a biracial person, then yeah, it's going to be difficult. If you don't know who you are, how can you expect anyone else to do so? If you're expecting to learn about being biracial and mixed race and how to live that way from monoracial people, you will wait forever. It won't happen. You
Um,
know.
let me say my final thoughts, and I gotta go to sleep. The great conversation, Al Sharp. You said something amazing just now. Damn it, it was like the first thing you said. Um, where it's you said it's like offensive for mixed people to get together, or something like that. You said, which
Well,
is
it's politically incorrect to
right,
be
right.
biracial, multiracial, mixed race in America.
That is an
Even if
amazing comment. That is an amazing comment. That is so
Can I say something?
factual.
it's sadly true.
Let me
It's
just
sadly
finish
true.
this. Let me just finish this, Jason, and because I have to hop off. Um, yeah, and the thing is, a lot of mulatto brothers and sisters are scared to actually come out and admit that they want to separate themselves from the other group of people. I'm gonna say that again. A lot of mulattoes people, light skinned people, are scared to say that they want to separate from the other race of people, just like what Al Sharp just said. It's politically kind of like a an uncool thing, or kind of like a seen as some sub racist kind of thing to for mulatto people to separate themselves from the other group of people. Now, this is why a lot of the mulatto women are taking this safe zone to kind of just talk about. They try to bring mixed people in, but the way they're doing it is not really to talk about how the damages that are being done to mulattoes, the hatred that mulatto people have been getting, the light skinned people have been getting through, in society. They kind of just talk about certain things like hair and texture and phenotypes, and you kind of pull them in that way, but not really talk about the issues at hand. Now, here's the thing: the 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 mulattoes, when they actually start gathering or getting together, I guarantee you there's going to be a group of people, mostly black, I believe, that's going to come against you, brothers and sisters. You also going to have mulatto people that's going to come against the brothers and sisters, because I know it's all great and fine, which I think it's awesome for mulattoes to get together, but you're going to have a lot of Judases that's going to come and attack you brothers. I guarantee you, I promise you, this is going to happen. Even the sisters now that I'm seeing online, they're fighting against each other, right? The mulatto sisters can't get along with each other, right? And this is why the man got to take the lead, like Jason, for example. And this is a absolute must thing that needs to happen. But shout out to Mulatto Vanguard, Jason. Thank you so much. Great commentary. Al Show, great. I don't know if you have a YouTube channel, Al Show. I need to subscribe to you. I am tired as hell. You brothers did a great show today. I'm gonna rewatch this thing because I didn't see the beginning of it. So thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Take it easy. All right. The Jason, do you want to have final thoughts or?
Yeah. I wanted to add. Let me try and collect what I was trying to say. Yeah, I was gonna say basically, right? There is a thing that we need to understand, like as biracial men, like you have to study history, like so you don't repeat. And like you see, like for like what he was saying, like how there's gonna be a lot of Judases, or they could be a lot of there would be a Judases when they
Trojan
see
horses. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when they see biracials coming together, because obviously they're against that, right? The only way that biracials would actually be able to be together, right, and actually create a community and actually no longer be part of the black community, right, and be your own independent group, right, ethnic group, is by actually being against every community, kind of like how the Somali community is. That means no whites, no Arabs, no Asians, no Indians. That means pro self exactly. That means that you would have to be discriminative towards everyone, right? And that you would be pretty much mostly reliant on people that look like you. Do you get? I think you get the idea. That's one. The second would
Kind of
be
radical. Kind of radical.
yeah,
But
yeah,
go ahead. Go
radical,
ahead.
but it's only extremism that really gets the eye. and it actually works. Because, for example, the 4B movement, you can see the extreme radical content. Well, I wouldn't say extreme, but like these YouTube channels like Exoticals Unite, you can see how they talk. It's empowering the women. You get a lot of them are making channels now, right? You can see how it's working out because they're radical. Just kind of like how the red pill movement is as well. Very radical, very extreme. All those type of talk, like masculine type words and whatever, like them saying stuff very confidently. That is what people listen to. They don't listen to the soft type stuff. But unless you can throw a little subtle shades, like, oh, we don't group of other groups, and we just let them know, and then when they try and do it, like try and come in, then we let them know that we're not actually part of the group, and then you get the idea, like kind of like throwing the truth bomb subtly, right? Just letting them know we're just very pro centered on our ethnic group. The only way that the biracial group will be able to be independent is also by studying the fact that Europeans they don't go by skin complexion, they go by craniology and bone structure and skin complexion and race. There are caste systems in India, right? And there's literally like caste systems also i- even with Europeans. I think you know about the Nordic race, and then you have the Alpine race, right?
Oh yeah, for
The
sure,
Alpine,
definitely.
yeah, the Alpines they have more broader facial features or like broader skull, and in the Nordics they have more of like a obviously European Caucasoid, like more of a like European refined features, whatever, right? They obviously united, right? But there's gonna have to be some sort of like caste in order for this to work, because you see like how blacks would be like, oh, you still dark skin, you're still dark skin mix. Oh, you still got all of that type of stuff, like how you were talking about. We're not the ones that like biracial guys. We don't care about skin complexion. That's their pathology about skin complexion, about hair, like all that type of stuff. We accept all biracial because they're biracial because they have the features, right? That caste system, you would have to be just as you're extreme with the you would be extreme with the just claiming only your people and being with only your people, right? You would also have to be extreme with the caste system as well, and it would be obviously just a hierarchy, right? With the light skin, more Ethiopian phenotype, aka the mulatto phenotype, Afro Germanic Drake skin complexion, right? Or face like phenotype. Then you have the I would say who's in between, maybe I don't know who's lighter, darker, a bit lighter than that. Um, I don't know. Maybe Ludacris is like a bit darker, and then you got Jaden Smith, and then finally a darker skinned mulatto phenotype at the bottom, right? You would be like extreme with each one. You'd be like, this is a direct phenotype. This is the only phenotype of the light phenotype. If you don't have this, you're not that phenotype, right? And you're basically derogatory of everyone else type, right? Because it'd be like this, right? Okay, a guy comes in, oh, I'm light skinned. No, 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 you're black. You're black. You don't look like. I think you get the idea. It's kind of like a gatekeep of the group, of the ethno group. Yeah, you may say that's derogatory. You may say that's racist, but it's the only way, because you can clearly see you have interlopers. You got, I don't want to say his name, right? But I think you know that guy that works with that other dude that is trying to get with the woman
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
know who you're talking about. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
you can see
interlopers.
how,
Yeah.
yeah, interlopers, they always come in trying to like say, oh, they have this, they're mixed. Yeah, if you, I, I could just see you, I could just tell you if you're mixed or not.
Yeah,
You know,
that's why I respect For Light, because he's not trying to play this game and kind of insult our intelligence. He's like, look, he's saying he's not mixed. He's like, look, you can look at me. I'm like a brown skinned Jamaican guy, American guy. Like, he's real and authentic. I respect him for that. And I respect black men who are proud to be black men and they stand on that. I don't respect black men who pretend to be mixed, right? Or they want to lie to interlope and LARP around to be something they're not. Like we see that with Black Americans who are pretending to be Indians. Like I don't respect that at all. So I have more respect for men who are honest with themselves and say, hey, I'm not like you, but I kind of sympathize with you. I get what you're saying. Let's have a conversation, right? So there's more integrity attached to that. But yeah, for sure. Hey, shout out to you, man. I definitely want to have this conversation again. We could possibly have it behind the scenes, but I do want to close things out right now because I got to get up early for work. But thank you for hopping on. Cool. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. The Al Show, do you have any final words you want to kind of quickly go over? Anything you left out, and then we can kind of close things out.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, the only thing I could say is we all have our experiences. And as I mentioned before, my experiences aren't the same as a lot of other people's. So one of the things that you have to understand about biracial, I think I see this on some biracial groups, little is some people, once they adapt, once they reach that journey to deciding that they're going to be mixed race and not be monoracial, they're less forgiving and less tolerant of those who aren't. And the point that I make is you got to cut people slack. You have to understand that there are people that some people do take a journey. I don't understand that journey because I never went on it. I was mixed race, even if it wasn't a big deal for me. But you have to understand some biracial people, they see themselves as monoracial or Black, what have you. That's the way they are. They don't really have any reason not to. Nothing in their family, nothing in their community, nothing in their life tells them otherwise. And for some, it takes years to reach that area. And that may seem odd and weird. And how come they took so long? And why did they reach that? It varies. Again, we have to look at the society we're in. I mentioned it before. It's politically incorrect to be mixed race, biracial, multiracial in America. Some people will disagree with me. I would say no. Over the years, I've talked to a lot of biracial people, a lot of mixed race people. And I can tell you, not just in the past, but now, it's still politically incorrect to do so. It's not popular to go on to tell people who are monoracial that you're biracial. I've seen that myself. Some people just can't tolerate it. So you have to understand also where people are coming from. And again, those people who are biracial, they're proud, they're mixed race, great. It's nice that you are, but you have to be understanding of other people. You have to understand they have their point of view. And if they never want to be biracial, they're mixed race, hey, I know that's why I don't have anything to do with them. I just go, because I'm not going to engage in fights and debates and arguments with people who really aren't prepared to deal with who they are. And so I say, I wish you well on your life as a monoracial person, if that's what you want to be. I know it's going to be hard for them. I know they're going to get the biracial wake-up call at some point, if they haven't already. But they have made their choice, and they have to go through that. So that's what you have to understand. The best you can do is deal with people that are biracial and live as biracial people and want to do it. That's all that you can do at this point, because there's not much else you can do. There's not really a space or place, an area that I'm aware of. It's not like other countries where you have basically biracial communities or mixed race communities like South Africa. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep that in mind, folks. Thanks for having me up.
Hey, thanks for hopping on. I really appreciate it. Talk to you next time. Right. Peace. Cool, guys. This has been a very intriguing dialogue and discussion. I really appreciate all the panelists, everybody's input, all the commenters. This has been a great live stream. I'm very proud to be able to moderate this type of discussion. I think it's very thought-provoking. I think a lot of you guys will receive value from this content. And of course, if you have, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, most importantly, share the content with somebody you feel like that needs this information. Because I have seen that. I've seen comments over on X and other places, and people have emailed me or messaged me telling me, oh yeah, they've shared my videos with like their relative or their friend who they feel like people needs this content, because people need to realize that they do have another option, especially these mulattoes out here. A lot of mulattoes feel stuck. They feel like they just have to accept their lot in life, being a subordinate, begging for acceptance. And a lot of people don't realize you kind of already have a lane carved out for you. You have people like me and others who are basically carving a space out for you where you can fit in right here. This is designed specifically for you. Okay. And I might not be your cup of tea. My delivery might be a little bit obnoxious, I admit, but I still want to provide value to people out here. So I appreciate you guys engaged in the conversation, and I look forward to you guys coming back next time. And let's as always, keep the conversation going. We have a voice, we have the microphone now, and nothing's going to stop that. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.